While others set sail to find One Piece, Kaido sets sail to find a good place to drink. The grand line remains the same, only the enemy's bad luck has skyrocketed. Kaido appears, not to train, not to talk, but to teach the world how to lie down properly, while the enemy is still buffing their stats. Kaido has already finished fighting and is back to drink more. Yonko, Marine, Celestial Dragons. Sounds familiar, but let's fight together quickly. This isn't a journey to become stronger, but a journey where Kaido makes others weaker. The ultimate challenge begins with us. Awesome and entertaining. You'll be hooked. The people of Sabati Archipelago were so shocked by this scene that they couldn't even describe it in words. In a place like Marineford, the Marine headquarters, pirates openly confronting the dragon humans right in front of the Marines. It's unbelievable. Is the world going to be destroyed? A slightly bolder citizen exclaimed, but his voice was filled with fear, because it was truly terrifying. Kaido of the 100 Beasts, openly confronting the dragon humans at Marineford, the Marine headquarters. Even more so, due to overwhelming fear, some turned and fled, wanting to live in hiding, fearing that the world would be destroyed the next moment. However, the reporters, emboldened by their presence, relentlessly snapped photos at their screens. This was explosive, worldwide news. The Yonko Kaido, the Beast King, had landed on an island at Marineford, the Marine headquarters, and publicly executed a celestial dragon in front of the Marines. If Kaido succeeded, the entire world would be thrown into chaos. Yurish trembled, saying a madman. No, madman isn't enough to describe Kaido's madness. Capone Beach, smoking a cigar, his eyelids twitching, said, regardless of whether Kaido succeeds in executing a celestial dragon in front of the Marines, the result is that Kaido has done it. The celestial dragon's supreme prestige has been severely damaged. Truly a terrifying man, Kaido, the Beast King. Jewelry Bonnie took a few bites of her pizza, saying, that's impressive. Kaido, if you really succeed, no matter what, I'll personally go and meet you. Appo, with his hands on his hips, laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, my little ones, if Governor Kaido survives, I plan to take you all to pledge allegiance to this great man. Yes, Captain Appo. More than 10 pirate subordinates behind Appo responded in unison. Drake's face darkened considerably, and he said in a low voice, because of this, the Navy will have no choice but to change its battle strategy and become the more proactive side. Otherwise, the celestial dragons will be executed. That would simply be. Drake didn't continue. The outcome was obvious. Not only would the Navy's attempt to undermine the Four Emperors' prestige fail, but the Navy's situation would instantly become passive. Hawkins' eyes were fixed on the screen as he arranged Carol's cards, saying, unbelievable. I've calculated it 3 times. And the probability of that celestial dragon dying is always 100%. Hawkins' words caused everyone within earshot to widen their eyes in shock. Did Kaido of the Beasts really intend to execute a celestial dragon right in front of the Marines? Haha Eustace Kid, gripping the dagger at his waist, laughed wildly with excitement. Hawkins, you said the celestial dragon will definitely die. That Kaido of the Beasts will finally succeed in executing a celestial dragon. It's enough to make one tremble with excitement. Hawkins' words startled the other pirate supernovas as well. It seemed that the ultimate victor in this war might be Kaido, one of the 4 emperors. Killer also laughed along with Kid. Haha, this world is already crazy, so let's make it even crazier. Trafalgar Law pulled his hat down low and slowly said, Kaido of the Beasts, what a clever tactic. He directly turned the tables on the Marines. The Beast Pirates, who were supposed to be on the defensive, are now in control. Honestly, the supernovas present were beginning to admire Kaido's actions. Such a crazy feat, who would dare do it? After all, they had never seen anything like it before. Even Rayleigh and Shaki, perched on a tree, were shaken by Kaido's actions. Shaki, smoking, said, Rayleigh, Kaido intends to fight the Marines to the death. The Marines won't let any member of the Beast Pirates go. Crazy kid, but I like it. They're all crazy, ha ha. Rayleigh took a sip of his drink, chuckled, and replied, although, in the end, he might face death, Kaido has opened a forbidden gate. The celestial dragon's unshakable position has suffered a serious blow. What if Kaido survives and leaves Marineford, the Marine headquarters? Shaki retorted with a laugh. Hearing this, Rayleigh had no intention of continuing the conversation with Shaki on this topic. Men dislike nothing more than seeing their women gaze at other men with that kind of admiring look. Marineford, the Marine Headquarters Square. Sengoku's mouth twitched uncontrollably as he loudly questioned Kaido. Kaido, are you insane? Do you want to plunge this world into utter chaos? Boa Hancock covered her mouth with both hands, trembling with fear. Kaido not only attacked the celestial dragons, but also wanted to publicly execute them. It's still right in front of the Navy and the whole world. The celestial dragons have always been considered the gods of this world, and everyone is asleep before them. But now, Kaido of the Beasts has broken the curse and dares to publicly execute a celestial dragon. Boa Hancock, who feared the celestial dragons, now seems less afraid, all because of Kaido, who is not far away. Kaido hoisted his spiked club onto his shoulder, leapt onto the execution platform, and, like Sengoku, stood beside Yamato. Kaido then stood beside the celestial dragon, placing one foot on the celestial dragon's head, and loudly declared, "Listen carefully, everyone in the world. Who can now be called the king of this sea? Is it a newly emerged, extremely vicious, hot-headed pirate group? Or is it the cunning and vibrant 7 warlords of the sea? Or is it the revolutionary army opposing the world government? With the pirates' numbers constantly increasing, who can seize the vacant throne? You fools, the one at the top can rewrite history. Since the Great Pirate Era, there has only been one vacant throne. This massive Uzumaki, which has swept the entire world, is the greatest power struggle in pirate history. Go tell the celestial dragons of Muriajwa that they will surely be dragged down from their pedestals. Whoever wins this power struggle will gain control of the entire world. The Void Throne will be the ultimate goal." In a frenzy utterly insane, everyone who heard Kaido's words felt as if they could see a chaotic world unfolding before their eyes. Filled with slaughter everywhere, Doflamingo began to laugh wildly, unrestrainedly, saying, "No, no, 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 mister. Kaido's words are truly to my liking, absolutely wonderful. That's exactly right. The greatest power struggle in history is about to begin. Doflamingo, are you perhaps a subordinate of Kaido?" Deko Moria, who was initially in a state of great fear, directly retorted after hearing Doflamingo's words. "No, no, no," Doflamingo laughed in response. "Idiot, just like you, destined to be eliminated by the times." "What did you say, Doflamingo?" Deko Moria clenched his fists and turned to face Doflamingo. Jin shook his head helplessly and whispered, "I've been completely dragged into this mess." Hawk-eyed Mihawk calmly said, "Kaido, he's very confident." As soon as Mihawk, with his hawkeye eyes, spoke, the surrounding 7 warlords turned to look at him. The marine soldiers were already beginning to descend into disarray. Kaido's public display of the dragon slayers and his haughty declaration had directly shattered the morale of most of them. As the commotion intensified, the marine soldiers' morale became increasingly unstable. Sengoku, standing on the execution platform, knew that if things continued like this, his soldiers would surely be defeated without a fight. He had to regroup, otherwise, this battle was impossible. Just as Sengoku was about to speak to stabilize the morale of his troops, Akainu below spoke first. "You fools, they're just a bunch of pirates. What do we have to fear in a battle on our home turf? Besides, I will also kill Kaido here." Akainu's words caused the marine soldiers to calm down, as their admiral still held an extremely high position and held great faith in them. "Ha ha ha!" Kaido laughed, his laughter echoing throughout Marineford, his haughty saying, "Akainu, your lava is only fit for lighting a birthday cake here." At Marine Headquarters, Kaido of the 100 Beasts, am still invincible in the world. Akainu heard this mockery. He had never experienced such humiliation before. Today, he was determined to deal with Kaido. How terrifying! Kaido of the 100 Beasts. Kizaru scratched his head with a mischievous expression, saying, "We haven't even started fighting yet, and our spirits are already being constantly crushed by the enemy. This won't do." Aokiji, standing nearby, looked at Kizaru questioningly. "How do you want to fight, Kizaru?" Kizaru slowly stood up, his hands in his pockets, and said contemptuously, "The celestial dragons are all being subdued by the enemy and are about to be publicly executed. Aren't we the attacking side? Then let me go first and probe Kaido's strength." As soon as Kizaru finished speaking, his entire body began to transform into a continuous stream of light, disappearing from his original location. When Kizaru reappeared, he was already above the beast pirates, contemptuously saying, "Beast Kaido, you can't let yourself continue to be so arrogant. Otherwise, they'll think our marines are incompetent." It's Admiral Kizaru. Robin, in the rear, looked up at the figure that had just appeared and said, "Who's who smoking?" said, "Kizaru wants to attack Governor Kaido. We must stop him, otherwise they'll think our beast pirates have no one." Enel, his entire body enveloped in lightning, stepped forward and said, "Let me go and meet Kizaru." Kizaru, with his arms crossed, activated his Pika Pika no Mi Devil Fruit ability, Yasukani no Magatama. Countless laser beams swept towards Kaido, the dazzling light enveloping the entire beast pirate crew in the air. Lightning blast. Enel also gathered countless lightning rays, firing them at Kizaru's Yasukani no Magatama. Boom, boom, the lasers and lightning bolts clashed violently in midair. Enel's powerful Kanban Shoko Haki was enough to precisely target Kizaru's attack. The marine soldiers, seeing their Admiral Kizaru's attack blocked, were all shocked. Is this the power of a Goro Goro no Mi user? He can even block Admiral Kizaru's attack. Kizaru, displaying his contemptuous attack, said, "A top-tier Logia user like me, but the actual strength might not be certain." According to Kizaru, even if the Devil Fruit ability was similar to his own belonging to the top-tier Logia class, the actual strength was uncertain. Just as Kizaru was about to continue his attack, a figure suddenly appeared to his left, forcing him to interrupt his attack and defend. Kizaru contemptuously said, "It's you, the leader of the 3 calamities of the Beast Pirates, Flame King." This figure that rapidly appeared to Kizaru's left was Flame King. "Kizaru, how could you be so quick to disturb our Kaido-sensei?" Flame King kicked towards Kizaru. Kizaru blocked Flame King's attack with his hand. Bang! Kizaru, sensing the power of the Flame Air King's attack, revealed a contemptuous expression and said, "How terrifying." The leader of the 3 calamities of the Beast Pirates, the Flame Air King. "Get down from there, Kizaru." The Flame Air King suddenly increased his strength, kicking Kizaru out of the air. Boom! Kizaru was slammed into the wall, causing a section of the wall to collapse, and dust scattered in all directions. Witnessing this scene, the marine soldiers exclaimed in shock, "This can't be true. Admiral Kizaru was sent flying?" The marine soldiers were extremely worried about Admiral Kizaru being blown away. But after a moment, Kizaru, perfectly unharmed, transformed into a stream of light and appeared before the numerous marine soldiers. Seeing that Admiral Kizaru was unharmed, they breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's so good that you're all right, Admiral Kizaru." Kizaru, with a contemptuous expression, looked up at the Flame King suspended in midair and said, "It seems it won't be so easy for me to directly attack the enemy." The pirates of the Beast Pirate crew all shouted loudly, "Kill! Destroy the Marines! Counterattack! Counterattack! Destroy the Beast Pirate crew!" The marine soldiers also collectively began to counterattack. The conflict between the two sides, which had officially erupted after Kizaru and the Flame King's clash, spread like wildfire throughout the Marineford headquarters. The Beast Pirates, led by Jack the Drought, Enel, Who's Who, Shikamaru, Page 1, Inurashi, Nikomamushi, and the 10 Numbers, began their assault on the Marines. Jack the Drought roared, "Charge! Completely annihilate the Marines!" Outside, headliners and others led the Beast Pirates, along with 20,000 troops, launching an assault on both sides of Marineford headquarters. Black Maria, Juniper, Robin, Nami, Nojiko, Monet, Carrot, Hohong, Hiyori, and other female characters did not join the front lines, but instead remained around Kaido's execution platform. Their mission was to be responsible for the Navy's advance, to block their escape routes, and to prevent the Navy from interfering with the public execution of the Celestial Dragons. On the other hand, Kaido also arranged for Queen to take Caesar, Jin, Mr. 2, and Mr. 3 to secretly sabotage the Navy's power plant and intercept Sentomaru to prevent the pacifistas from joining the battlefield, ideally to capture and take them away. After all, these Bartholomew Kuma's clones were quite formidable fighters. Kaido, with his foot on the celestial dragon Charles's head, calmly surveyed the battlefield. One of the purposes of having the Beast Pirates participate was to train his troops. This place was an excellent training ground, and even if the Beast Pirates couldn't defeat the Navy, Kaido didn't care. Because, in the end, Kaido would naturally reap the benefits. After all, there were so many Marines here. providing Kaido with the nutrients to absorb life force, which had initially given the Marines hope, only to ultimately shatter their hopes completely. As for the Marines' deaths, as long as it doesn't take too long, it won't have any impact on Kaido. He can simply use the Edo no Mi's absorption ability. At that time, Kaido will let the Marines experience what true hell and invincible power really is. The Susanoo saw. On the Marine side, Vice Admirals and Rear Admirals have led all Marine soldiers to intercept the Beast Pirates' attack. The Beast Pirates' fighting style isn't about rescuing people. Their sole purpose is to slaughter the Marines. Anagumo coldly declared, "Attack with all your might, break through the encirclement, and rescue the Celestial Dragons." Currently, the Marines are more focused on rescuing the Celestial Dragons during the assault. The Marines, who should have been defending, have now become the offensive force, with the Beast Pirates acting as the defensive force on the 7 warlords of the seaside. Doflamingo, with his hands in his pockets, chuckled and said, No, the Navy is actively attacking the Beast Pirates' defensive line, so I won't be the one to attack. Doflamingo's purpose in doing so was actually to avoid offending Kaido. No matter what, he and Kaido were in a cooperative relationship. As for the other Shichibukai, to be honest, Doflamingo didn't want them involved. If they drew the Beast Pirates' firepower, they would have to retreat, otherwise they would truly be fighting the Beast Pirates. And retreating would only make them targets for those annoying flies of the Navy. In short, Doflamingo didn't want to offend either side. The one he least wanted to offend was Kaido. As for the Navy, he could just play along and deceive them. Jin directly replied, "I'm not planning to attack either. If it becomes unavoidable, then we'll talk about it." Everyone feels the same way. Bo Hancock, like Jin, responded directly. Of the 6 warlords of the sea present, 3 immediately expressed their unwillingness to participate in the battle, choosing only to observe, which made Gecko Moria feel somewhat awkward. As for Hawkeye Mihawk, he showed absolutely no reaction, and even less so for Bartholomew Kuma, who was now a mindless war machine. Hawkeye Mihawk calmly said, "Ultimately, I will fight Kaido to see what kind of strength that creature, who is called the strongest in the sea, land, and air, truly possesses. That's all." Mihawk's hawk-eyed gaze showed a very simple intention, to see how much difference there was between his strength and Kaido of the beasts. As for fighting Kaido to the death, that was simply impossible. Mihawk wouldn't risk his life for the Marines. This time, Gecko Moria became the most awkward person. He muttered in a low, annoyed voice, "Disgusting." Gecko Moria desperately wanted to rush forward and take revenge on Kaido of the beasts, but they had all declared they had no intention of participating in the battle. This made Gecko Moria feel extremely embarrassed. Should he go up and fight Kaido alone? Boom, bang, boom. Explosions spread across the battlefield. Jack the Drought, leading the charge, transformed into Model, Mammoth, and relentlessly charged at the Marine soldiers, causing large-scale destruction. Who's Who, Shimu, and Page One all followed closely behind, transforming into ancient Zoan abilities. Edo directly used the Goro no Mi ability to continuously inflict large-scale lightning attacks on the Marines. Unlike them, Inarashi and Nekomamushi relentlessly slaughtered the Marines. They each challenged Vice Admirals to battles. Tashigi gripped her Shigure sword in its sheath and charged towards Shimu, whispering, "That's Shimu, one of the flying 6 of the Beast Pirates." At this moment, Shimu also noticed the woman charging towards him and disdainfully said, "A woman who isn't even an admiral dares to challenge me. She doesn't know her own limitations." The next moment, a cloud of white smoke appeared in front of Shimu, blocking his Triceratops's charge and sending him flying away. Tashigi hurriedly shouted, "General Smoker, be careful." After being knocked back, Smoker wiped the fresh blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "I didn't expect to be able to hit someone who's made of mist. You're a Logia-type ability user, aren't you? It seems you're nothing more than this." In his Triceratops beast form, Shikamaru replied dismissively. Upon hearing this, Smoker's expression darkened considerably, and he realized that the flying 6 of the Beast Pirates weren't so simple. Smoker loudly ordered, "Tashigi, retreat." All right. Tashigi knew she couldn't stay there any longer, as it would hinder Smoker's battle. Shikamaru's Triceratops beast form slowly contracted, finally transforming back into its beast form, and said, "Since you're so confident, let's see if you can still be so confident later." Not far away, Hina noticed Smoker's situation and said worriedly, "That idiot Smoker. He wants to face the 400 million bounty hunter, Shinmu, alone." So, Hina abandoned the surrounding pirates and turned to run towards Smoker. Shinmu continuously swung his sword, attacking Smoker, who was struggling to block. Shinmu noticed the opponent's 10-handed special weapon and said, "Kid, your weapon has added sea stone to it. We're much more familiar with the sea stone's aura than you are." Shinmu suddenly increased the intensity of his attack. Smoker was caught off guard, and Shinmu kicked Smoker away. Shinmu's right leg pushed off the ground, accelerating towards Smoker, but a barrier suddenly appeared in front of him, forcing Shinmu to stop his attack. Seeing that the person approaching was a female marine, Smoker said irritably, "Hina, who told you to meddle in other people's affairs? This guy is my opponent." "Nonsense, you're being too arrogant. You're not his match yet. Let's team up and deal with him together." Hina, smoking, criticized Smoker. Although Smoker's expression showed his displeasure, he didn't refuse Hina's suggestion because cooperating with Hina to deal with Shimu was indeed a viable option. Boring move. Shimu completely ignored this because the more people there were, the result would be the same. Bang! Bang! Just as Shimu was dealing with Smoker and Hina, Who's Who was also stopped. Who's Who looked at the person blocking his way and said, "So it's you, Vice Admiral Momonga. Who exactly are you? Why are you so proficient in using the 6 styles in your fighting style?" Momonga questioned Who's Who, blocking his path. Who's Who smirked and said, "Who am I? Haha, as for who I am, you don't need to know. Vice Admiral Momonga. Since you've come to stop me, let me see your strength." "I'd be delighted." Momonga also wanted to see what kind of strength this beast pirate's Who's Who possessed. Soru. The next second, Who's Who and Momonga simultaneously used the 6th dial's Soru to engage in a high-speed battle. Page 1, Inurashi, and Nikomamushi were also blocked by the other 3 vice admirals. Because they couldn't let these people continue slaughtering the marine soldiers, the vice admirals had to personally intercept these beast pirates officers. On the other hand, the 10 numbers were also summoned by the giant vice admiral, and their core forces were engaged in fierce battles. The rest were marine soldiers and pirates fighting each other. Kizuru stood there with his hands in his pockets, looking utterly nonchalant, when suddenly a figure appeared above him. Enel arrogantly declared, "You are Marine Admiral Kizuru, aren't you? I want to see whether your devil fruit abilities are more powerful, or my Goro Goro no Mi ability is more powerful." How terrifying! Enel, the Goro Goro no Mi user of the beast pirates. Kizuru said nonchalantly, "But why did you choose me? Then let's have a little fun." "A fun game? Don't exaggerate." Enel extended his hand, gathering lightning and striking down at Kizuru. Laser beam. Kizuru raised his finger slightly, firing a laser beam to deflect Enel's attack. The next moment, both vanished from sight simultaneously, their speed so rapid that even a rear admiral would have difficulty seeing them. Bang! Bang! Flashes and lightning clashed incessantly, but their exchange had already moved to the edge of the battlefield. If it were within a crowd, it would have caused massive casualties. Enel immediately launched a full-force attack. At the same time, Kizuru realized that his Pika Pika no Mi Devil Fruit ability was no match for the Goro Goro no Mi ability. It was essentially a battle of equal power. Kizuru muttered contemptuously, as expected of the Goro Goro no Mi ability, truly terrifying. Kenbun Shoku Haki is quite good, but it's just like Bisashoku Haki, only at the beginner level. "This level of Bisashoku Haki can't hurt me, kid." Admiral Kizuru's gaze was sharp and discerning. In their brief exchange, he had already seen through Enel's true strength. This user of the Goro Goro no Mi, Enel, had average basic combat power, but was quite proficient in Kenbun Shoku Haki. His Bisashoku Haki was only at the beginner level and not enough to be intimidating. His strength basically stemmed from the damage inflicted by the Goro Goro no Mi. After seeing through Enel's true strength, Kizuru calmly used his Pika Pika no Mi Devil Fruit ability to clash with Enel's Goro Goro no Mi ability. Indeed, Enel's strength had surpassed that of a vice admiral, but he posed no real threat to Kizuru. Even Enel, reacting slowly, noticed the problem. Kizuru wasn't actually fighting him seriously. And that's why. Enel tried his best, but the Goro Goro no Mi ability was simply no match for the Pika Pika no Mi ability of his opponent. Boom. Model, Mammoth Jack, the Drought Demon, relentlessly and powerfully stabbed at the Marine soldiers. A large number of Marine soldiers were sent flying by Jack the Drought Demon. Disgusting. I can't stop you. The Marine soldiers used all kinds of swords and bullets, but they were completely ineffective against Jack the Drought Demon. Jack the Drought Demon said dismissively, "These little scratching toys are completely useless against me." Suddenly, a laser beam pierced through Jack the Drought Demon's body. Bang! The pirates of the Beast Pirate crew anxiously shouted, "Lord Jack, are you all right?" In pain, Jack the Drought Demon's mouth bled, and he angrily yelled, "Bastard, who is it?" When Jack the Drought returned, he saw the warlord Bartholomew Kuma with smoke billowing from his mouth, saying, "It's you." "Bartholomew Kuma, since you want to die, then I'll grant your wish." Jack the Drought left model, Mammoth. Bartholomew Kuma didn't reply, nor would he reply, because today he was a completely thoughtless, reformed person. That's great. Warlord Bartholomew Kuma is going into battle. The Marine soldiers breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Bartholomew Kuma attack Jack the Drought. This meant they were immediately relieved of a great deal of pressure. Otherwise, Jack the Drought's relentless and indirect attacks would have caused them a large number of casualties. Deco Moria, seeing Bartholomew Kuma take action, finally dared to move as well. Walking along the long path, Akainu and Aokiji were still seated. Akainu looked towards Kizaru, who was engaged in battle, and immediately realized that Kizaru wasn't truly exerting his strength. He was purely sparring with his opponent using his Devil Fruit abilities. Akainu's expression was extremely grim as he said, "Kaido, if he wants to publicly expose the Heavenly Dragon, we absolutely cannot let him succeed. Otherwise, even if we execute Kaido's daughter and eliminate Kaido, we still won't be able to restore our lost reputation." Aokiji was also contemplating how to proceed with this war, and his reply to Akainu was a simple, dismissive word. Akainu didn't bother to say anything more. Having been colleagues with Kizaru and Aokiji for so many years, he was already very familiar with their personalities. Akainu slowly rose from his chair. He absolutely had to fight. Otherwise, as time passed, the Navy would completely lose face. Akainu leapt up and down, his gaze directly locking onto Kaido as he charged forward. Excellent, Admiral Akainu is also fighting. Justice will prevail. Seeing Admiral Akainu also mobilize, the Marine soldiers became even more confident, believing that their Marine force would ultimately be able to wipe out the Beast Pirates. Sengoku, walking on the long line, also frowned. To be honest, Kaido's strategy was something Sengoku hadn't anticipated. According to the plan, they were supposed to set a trap for the Beast Pirates to fall into, thus eliminating them in one fell swoop. Now it was equivalent to publicly executing Kaido's daughter. It had become the Marines who needed to rescue the Celestial Dragons, meaning they were the ones actively attacking. Moreover, judging by the Beast Pirates' fighting style, they didn't seem to be there to rescue anyone. They were clearly here to kill people at the Marine headquarters. Sengoku couldn't help but suspect this. What troubled Sengoku the most was that the initially proactive side had become the passive one. Yamato, kneeling beside him, couldn't help but ask suspiciously, "His father seems different." What do you mean?" Sengoku immediately became suspicious and wary upon hearing this. Yamato shook her head and said, "I can't say for sure." Behind them, Garp and Vice Admiral Tsuru were sitting on the ground. Garp scratched his ear and said that Akainu kid couldn't resist starting to attack. That's for sure. Who told Kaido to be so bold as to openly attack the Celestial Dragons? Vice Admiral Tsuru could also understand why Akainu couldn't sit still. At this moment, a naval soldier ran up to Marshal Sengoku and reporting, "Marshal Sengoku, there's still one more image-capturing phone that hasn't been found." What kind of work are you doing? A bunch of incompetent fools, like a broken-down car at a crucial moment. Sengoku, already furious, truly jumped up and started beating people after hearing this bad news. If future wars are like this, like a broken-down car, does the Navy still need to protect world stability? The naval soldiers were also frightened by Marshal Sengoku's angry outburst. Sengoku knew that anger was useless, so he ordered, "What are you standing there for? Go quickly and find the other image-capturing phone. Do you want to embarrass the Navy in front of the whole world?" "Yes, Marshal Sengoku." Upon hearing the order, the naval soldiers quickly turned and departed. Sengoku continued to glare at the battlefield with a dark expression, but upon seeing Kaido's arrogant grin, his face darkened even more. After Akainu launched his attack, all the pirates in his path were completely unable to stop his power. Akainu roared, "You damned pirates! Get out of my way!" A terrifying lava punch erupted, instantly engulfing all the pirates in his path. "Ah! Quickly dodge, we can't go head-to-head with Admiral Akainu." Seeing this, the pirates of the Beast Pirates scattered to the sides, because Akainu's Magu Magu no Mi Devil Fruit ability was too terrifying. Just touching him meant death. Dealing with the Admiral could only be left to the officers, as they were simply incapable of confronting him. Akainu, charging forward and sneering, said loudly, "You worthless, rotten fish and shrimp from the Beast Pirates, dare to show off at Marineford, the Marine headquarters. You don't know your place, but there's a limit to it." As soon as Akainu finished speaking, another lava fist struck the Beast Pirates. Boom! In an instant, over 100 of the Beast Pirates were killed or wounded. Akainu was suddenly struck in the shoulder by a sword, the wound continuously oozing lava, yet it closed up again without interruption. This was Akainu using Kenbun Shoko Haki to sense the approaching danger and evade the attack. Akainu's face darkened as he turned around, and upon seeing the Flame King engulfed in flames, he said, "It's you." "Flame King? No, I should call you a Lunarian, but do you think you can stop me?" Although Akainu felt the Flame King was difficult to deal with, he didn't think a mere Flame King could stop him. His target was Kaido of the 100 Beasts. The Flame King, unafraid, replied, "Whether I can stop you or not, we'll only know after the battle." After Flame King finished speaking, he immediately unleashed his awakened Pteranodon ability. A pair of wings transformed from his back into Pteranodon wings, and flames engulfed his entire body. Finally, he transformed into a fiery winged dragon, its beast form radiating terrifying heat that melted the surrounding ground. Akainu, seeing this, raised his eyebrows and said, "So that's it. Your ancient Zoan ability has awakened, and you're even using the power of flames. But my power is lava." Akainu also emitted lava from his body, melting the ground. It could be said that at this moment, both Akainu and Flame King were radiating incredibly high temperatures. Sengoku, watching the battlefield, saw this and whispered, "It seems that Flame King is indeed the most difficult opponent to deal with, besides Kaido of the 100 Beasts." As a Marine Admiral, he had seen countless powerful individuals, so now, seeing the aura emanating from the Flame King, he knew that the Flame King was also a very troublesome person. With immense strength, it seems that the rumors from a while ago about him being able to fight Hawkeye Mihawk to a draw were true. Sengoku didn't know that the Flame King's ancient Zoan Pteranodon had only recently awakened its abilities. Thus, its strength had once again taken a small step forward, officially having 1 foot in the Emperor level. Hawkeye Mihawk, watching the battle, had already realized that the Flame King's strength was even greater than before. Doflamingo, with his hands in his pockets, licked his lips and chuckled, No, a spectacular battle is about to begin." Doflamingo wasn't interested in who would win. What interested him was that the more chaotic the war, the better. Doflamingo also exchanged glances with Monet, who had arranged for him to work under Kaido. At this stage, Doflamingo still didn't want to offend Kaido, so he let Monet continue working under Kaido. The pirates of the Beast Pirates and the Marine soldiers all moved away from the battlefield where the Flame King and Akainu were fighting. Because if they got too close and were caught in the crossfire later, they would be seriously injured or even killed, given how high the temperature around them was. Kaido, seeing King using his new form, felt a surge of excitement. After all, this technique of being completely enveloped in flames was probably something he learned from himself. King's current power was very close to the Emperor level, meaning he could break through at any moment. Therefore, Akainu wouldn't find it so easy to defeat the current Flame King. Along the way, a few Marines successfully broke through, but they were all blocked by Black Maria, Junji, Robin, Nami, Nojiko, Carrot, Bohong, and Monet. Akainu raised his right hand, transforming it into a lava fist, aiming it directly at the Flame King. Great eruption, Daifunten. Facing the increasingly close lava fist, the Flame King chose not to block, but instead flapped his wings forcefully, using the momentum to propel himself past the edge of the lava fist, charging towards Akainu. Seeing this, Akainu had no choice but to stop his lava fist attack and instead counter the Flame King's assault. Bang! 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 The next moment, the Flame King and Akainu's fists clashed, their punches increasing in speed. Akainu was also slightly startled. This Flame King could actually clash with his lava fist, seemingly quite formidable. Finally, their fists completely collided. Bang! Akainu was forced back 2 meters, while the Flame King was forced back 14 meters. The difference in strength between the two was evident at this moment, but Akainu didn't inflict any damage on the Flame King. This was because the Flame King's entire body was enveloped in flames and hockey. The Flame King sneered Akainu, "If you want to deal with Mr. Kaido, you'll have to get past me first." HMPH. Lava dripped continuously from Akainu's body as he nonchalantly replied, "Today, every member of your beast pirates will die." King Flame, with his wings flapping behind him, flew towards Akainu. King Flame had no intention of continuing a head-on confrontation with Akainu, because facing Akainu's lava would require more hockey and flames to counter, resulting in excessive energy expenditure. Therefore, King Flame decided to use speed against Akainu. Akainu also noticed this and unleashed his Kenban Shoku hockey. At the same time, Queen, along with Caesar, Jin, Mr. 2, and Mr. 3, successfully destroyed the Marine's power plant and also seized a videotape. Caesar quietly inquired, "Should we return to the battlefield or flee?" "Of course, we should return to the battlefield," Jin replied without hesitation. For Jin, only joining the battlefield was true combat. Queen, puffing on her cigar, instructed Caesar, Mr. 2, and Mr. 3, "You 3 return to Governor Kaido's side." "That's the safest place. Jin and I will join the battlefield." "I agree." Caesar readily agreed without hesitation. Mr. 2 and Mr. 3 also had no objections, as staying by Governor Kaido's side was indeed the safest option. After tossing the image-capturing phone to Mr. 3, Queen and Jin turned and headed towards the battlefield. Meanwhile, Caesar, Mr. 2, and Mr. 3 circled around, constantly approaching Governor Kaido's position. Queen's arrangement was due to a lack of time, as Governor Kaido was constantly monitoring the battlefield. At this moment, the Navy finally located the last remaining image-capturing device. A Navy soldier standing below the execution platform reporting to Marshal Sengoku, "The last image-capturing device is near Kaido's subordinate. We are completely unable to approach it." "A bunch of incompetent fools," Sengoku replied, gritting his teeth. Sengoku also saw Mr. 3 holding the image-capturing device next to Kaido, essentially giving Kaido complete control of the battlefield. All their fanfare and public execution of Kaido's daughter had become meaningless. It was as if all of this had become a stage for Kaido of the Beast Kingdom, allowing them to publicly execute the Celestial Dragons, humiliating the Navy and the world government in front of the whole world. Sengoku could already imagine what the outside world would think of this scene, and how the Celestial Dragon's status would plummet at this moment. Being exposed and executed in front of the Navy, wouldn't the world government's prestige be severely damaged? The only way to compensate now was to completely annihilate the beast pirates. As for whether the Celestial Dragons could be rescued, it didn't matter. That way, the losses could be minimized. The original plan was to shut down all 3 video recording devices. Then, Sengoku personally ordered a full-scale attack on the beast pirates, not focusing on rescuing the Celestial Dragons. However, since the beast pirates have now captured one of the clones, Sengoku doesn't dare issue this order arbitrarily. It would be tantamount to publicly declaring to the whole world that he doesn't care about the life or death of the Celestial Dragons, so he's in a passive position. Sengoku's inability to give orders arbitrarily has led to a situation where the beast pirates, who should have been doing everything in their power to save people, are now the Marines doing all their power to save people. And the beast pirates are directly attacking the Marines, showing no intention of saving anyone. This is what bothers Sengoku the most. Not only has his home field advantage turned into an away field advantage, but Kaido has also stolen the initiative. When did Sengoku ever make such a major strategic failure? That bastard Kaido of the Beast Pirates wasn't this sharp-witted before. Currently, aside from his shrewd mind, the main thing is that he has enough guts and sheer madness. He's a complete lunatic. And at the same time, the Navy has been thoroughly outmaneuvered. Sengoku didn't know that Kaido knew the original plan. Otherwise, Sengoku wouldn't have suspected that there was an inside mole in their Navy. Otherwise, Kaido would have known all their battle plans. Now, the only remaining option was to completely annihilate the beast pirates with brute force. Although doing so would result in far greater casualties than anticipated, it was the only way out. Not only had their entire plan been seen through, but the situation had become so passive. Now, the only option was to completely destroy the beast pirates with brute force. Sengoku believed that if they deployed all their fighting power, they could definitely defeat the beast pirates. Sengoku bowed his head to Aokiji, who was still seated, and ordered Aokiji freeze the entire surrounding sea area. We won't leave the pirates any escape route. A law. Now that the three admirals have deployed Kizaru and Akainu, only Aokiji remains. Aokiji's actions are equivalent to all three admirals having already moved. Kizaru is currently battling Enel over his devil fruit abilities and isn't taking it seriously at all. Enel knows this, but being able to stop Kizaru is already a great achievement. Meanwhile, the most intense battle is taking place on the ground between the Flame King and Akainu. Not a soul is visible within this area. Both radiate terrifying heat, making it impossible to approach. Admiral Aokiji has also deployed. Let's fight, destroy the beast pirates. Justice will prevail. The marine soldiers are constantly boosting their morale. They cannot lose this battle. A defeat would completely shatter the marines' reputation. Aokiji leapt into the air, his arms outstretched, and icy cold air emanated from his body. Ice Age. As Aokiji activated his first move, two ice pillars shot out from his hands, striking the sea on either side. When the ice pillar shot into the sea in an instant, both sides of the ocean were immediately frozen, and the surrounding temperature instantly plummeted from over 30 degrees to below freezing. Only the Flame King and Akainu on land remained hot. Our escape route is frozen. Some of the beast pirates saw their ship and the surrounding sea frozen. Queen shouted, "You fools, what are you retreating for? Don't you see our Governor Kaido is still very calm? Hurry up and kill the enemy." Yes, Queen-sama. The beast pirates all reacted again. Queen-sama was right. They still needed Governor Kaido to lead the charge. There was absolutely no need to fear the Marines. At this moment, Gecko Moria jumped in front of Queen and arrogantly said, "Ha ha ha, Queen, I've set my sights on your body." "Huh? What are you talking about, you idiot?" Queen felt that this Gecko Moria wasn't an idiot, daring to come looking for him. "Come out, zombie soldiers." Gecko Moria slightly waved his hand, summoning a large number of zombie soldiers, all of whom were deceased marine soldiers and pirates from the beast pirates. Queen didn't waste any words, directly transforming into a Brachiosaurus model and charging straight towards Gecko Moria. As Impel Down approached Marineford, the marine headquarters, a warship sped towards them. It was the Straw Hat Pirates, Ace, Ivankov and his crew, and Buggy the criminal. Ace said with great exasperation, "Luffy, you idiot, you always act so recklessly, and this time it's even worse. We almost lost our lives at Impel Down before." Ha ha ha, Luffy laughed in response. "Ace, we've come this far on this ship. There's no turning back." Sigh. Ace knew Luffy was like that. To be honest, this time Luffy and his crew had really dragged them down. And Blackbeard Teach, that bastard didn't know what he was doing at Impel Down. If it weren't for the urgency of the situation, Ace would never have let Blackbeard Teach get away with it. Ace solemnly looked at Luffy and his crewmates, saying, "I'm sorry. Everyone, it's all because of me that my younger brother brought you all here to face such great danger. I'm truly sorry." Oh, who told Luffy he was our captain? Zoro, Sanji, Frankie, Usopp, Brook, Chopper, and even the others blushed. At this point, Ivankov said seriously, "The Marine headquarters has a large number of skilled fighters. One careless mistake could cost you your life at any moment. I will rescue Yamato." Ace clenched his fist, flames erupting from it. The Marines had people more powerful than him, but Ace wouldn't back down because of that. Straw Hat Luffy chuckled, "Haha, I'm also really looking forward to the next battle." After 6 minutes, Ivankov said, "We can now see Marineford, the Marine headquarters. The entire surrounding area is frozen." In other words, this is Admiral Aokiji's masterpiece. No one else could have done this. "Help, why did I come to a place like this with you guys?" Buggy felt incredibly distressed. It was truly tragic. He had finally escaped Impel Down, only to end up at Marineford, the Marine headquarters. It was simply a case of him having to long a life. Zoro said seriously, this is the explanation. We can see Hawkeye Mihawk again. Green-haired guy, don't be impulsive this time. You're not a match for Hawkeye Mihawk yet. Sanji felt he needed to remind Zoro, otherwise, if he challenged Hawkeye Mihawk again like last time, the outcome would be predictable. Cut. Zoro retorted, you don't need to tell me that. I already know. At this point, Frankie suggested, Luffy, once we've advanced a certain distance, we can use the wine to propel the cannons, directly crossing the ice surface in one go to the center of the battlefield. Really? Frankie, that's great. Luffy was overjoyed upon hearing this. This way, they could save a lot of time. Ace patted Luffy's shoulder and happily said, Luffy, you have a group of incredibly reliable companions. Haha, of course, my companions are incredibly hardworking. Straw Hat Luffy had absolute trust in his companions. As the ship approached the ice, Frankie stood at the stern, preparing the wine cannon. Frankie shouted, Super, use all the Coca-Cola. Fire. Wine cannon. Bang, the wine cannon fired, and the entire ship, under the effect of the wine cannon, was propelled outwards, flying towards the center of the battlefield. What is that? How did a warship fly over? Could it be the Navy's backup plan? The pirates of the Beast Pirates were all very confused. In fact, even the Marines were very confused. They didn't know such a scene was happening. Kaido's gaze shifted, his Kenbun-shoku haki sweeping across the area, and he was immediately startled. How did Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy get here? Fire Fist Ace coming to rescue Yamato was somewhat understandable. After all, they were friends. But what the hell was the Straw Hat Pirates? Well, Kaido didn't bother to care. His goal remained unchanged, and as for who came, as long as they weren't getting in the way, Kaido wouldn't pay attention. When the ship finally landed on the island in the bay, everyone could see who was there. Yamato, on the longship, widened her eyes in disbelief and said, Ace, how did you get here too? This place is very dangerous. Let's leave quickly. Ace, standing at the bow of the large ship, loudly retorted, What kind of foolish words are you saying? Because of me, you've fallen into this predicament. How could I not care about you? A Marine Rear Admiral exclaimed in surprise, They are Ace, the 2nd Division Captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, the Straw Hat Pirates Rookie Luffy, the Revolutionary Army Ivankov, and a bunch of impaled-down criminals. Why are they on this battlefield? Sengoku's mouth twitched uncontrollably, veins bulging on his temples, and he yelled into the phone, Everyone listen. Following Sengoku's command, all the Marines present looked over. Even the pirates of the Beast Pirates were on alert. Gecko Moria, defeated by Queen, lay on the ground, his eyes filled with hatred as he glared at the Straw Hat Pirates. Sengoku then shouted, Now, suddenly appearing beside Fire Fist Ace is the son of Pirate King Roger, and beside him, Straw Hat Luffy is the son of Dragon, and those two are sworn brothers. Now I issue a death order. No matter the cost, kill those two. Understood. Sengoku didn't elaborate, but his words caused everyone present to show expressions of shock and disbelief. The son of Pirate King Roger and the son of Dragon, was this news really that explosive? The Marines and pirates all stared at Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy in utter disbelief. After the execution, Garp couldn't help but slap his head, muttering in a low voice, Ace, Luffy, you too. Vice Admiral Tsuru comforted him, saying, Garp, you must understand Sengoku's intentions. Now our Navy is in a passive position. I know, but... Garp wanted to say something more, but ultimately chose to remain silent. His position didn't allow him to do so. Everything that followed depended on Ace and Luffy's own fate. Meanwhile, Sengoku also looked towards Garp. Sengoku knew that his actions would make things extremely difficult for Garp, but the Navy had to perform a great act to boost morale. Sengoku also knew that his actions had taken a high risk of offending Garp, but he had his reasons. Sengoku pulled out a special communication device from his pocket. This was the Gorosei's communication device. Sengoku wanted a sufficient reason to get the Gorosei to lend a hand. Beep, 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 the communication device went through. This war had reached such a passive stage. Although victory was possible, it certainly wouldn't be an easy one. So when he saw Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy jump out, Sengoku immediately thought of a plan. He had to drag the Gorosei into this, to get them to join forces with the Marine headquarters to suppress the pirates. Therefore, Sengoku took the high risk of offending Garp, directly revealing the identities of Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy. Sengoku didn't know that Kaido didn't care about any elaborate schemes. This stage was just training for Kaido, with the real rewards coming later. On the side of the 7 warlords of the sea, the Blue Sea Night Gem stared in disbelief at Fire Fist Ace and whispered, "Brother Ace, you actually came to a place like this." Doflamingo, with his hands in his pockets, licked his lips and chuckled. No, it's getting more and more interesting. The son of the Pirate King, Fire Fist Ace, the son of Dragon, Straw Hat Luffy, and Marshal Sengoku, what are they up to? Doflamingo could roughly guess what Sengoku wanted to do. He just couldn't guess the specific details. A bunch of boring men. Boa Hancock was starting to get impatient. If it weren't for the fact that she was still at Marineford, she would have left immediately. Besides, Boa Hancock didn't have the opportunity to talk to Kaido right now. Therefore, Boa Hancock became even more reluctant to stay in Marineford. Hawkeye Mihawk's gaze fell upon Straw Hat Luffy and Zoro, and he whispered, "This battlefield is too early for you young men." Akainu, currently battling the Flame King, shifted his gaze to lock onto Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy, coldly declaring, "You're all descendants of evil blood today. Not a single one of you will leave Marine headquarters." Akainu, look directly at your opponent. The Flame King's fist, enveloped in flames and haki, struck towards Akainu's head. Just as the fist was about to hit Akainu, Akainu dodged the Flame King's attack, sneering, "Flame King, do you think a sneak attack will work against me? Stop laughing so hard." The Marine soldiers shouted, "Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy, and the Revolutionary Armies of Inkov are all unforgivable. Kill them. Exterminate the pirates. Justice will prevail." The Beast Pirates and their crew weren't interested in these people either, because their order from Governor Kaido was to slaughter the Marines. Everything else was irrelevant. Fire Fist Ace, the Straw Hat Pirates, and Ivankov's transvestite crew all jumped off the ship and charged towards the execution platform. The Marines' core forces all went to attack the Beast Pirates' defenses, allowing the Straw Hat Pirates to easily break through. This immediately put the Marines in a passive position. Some rear admirals and vice admirals had to retreat to defend, otherwise, if their defenses were breached, the Marines would lose face completely. Kaido watched the Straw Hat Pirates charge forward and couldn't help but smirk, saying, "The butterfly effect." Aokiji, still in Marineford Square, scratched his head and said helplessly, "Oh, boy. But you can't just charge in like that." Aokiji was preparing to intervene to stop Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy, and the others. Currently, the majority of the Navy's forces were focused on attacking the Beast Pirates, trying to rescue the Celestial Dragons. This weakened the Navy's defenses considerably, and Fire Fist Ace's Logia-type Mera Mera Nomi would cause widespread destruction upon arrival. Failing to stop him would have unpredictable consequences. After Aokiji stepped forward, the Navy's soldiers seemed to find a reason to stop him. "Great! Admiral Aokiji has arrived. You pirates are doomed." In the Navy soldiers' eyes, Admiral Aokiji's intervention meant the end for Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy, Ivankov, and the others. Sanji's face darkened as he said, "Luffy, it's bad. It's Admiral Aokiji. This is truly troublesome." Although Ivankov wasn't afraid, he knew that the Admiral was an extremely troublesome existence. Ace raised his hand to stop Luffy and the others, saying, "Luffy, leave Aokiji to me to hold off. You guys continue forward. Don't delay thinking about how to rescue Yamato." Ace, okay. Luffy looked at Ace's unwavering gaze, understood Ace's meaning, and responded firmly. Aokiji extended his hand, half of his body transforming into an ice block, and said, "Whitebeard Pirates 2nd Division Captain, Fire Fist Ace. Aokiji, I've long wanted to experience your techniques." Ace's entire body also erupted in intense flames. Explosive mouth. Mirror flame. Aokiji shot out a huge ice bird, while Ace spewed out a large mass of flames. Ice and fire instantly collided. Boom, as the two Logia-type Devil Fruit abilities continuously clashed, a large amount of mist erupted. The shockwaves from the collision also blew away the surrounding Marine soldiers. This, Admiral Aokiji disappeared along with the ice. Is this the true strength of the Whitebeard Pirates captain? Unbelievable! Admiral Aokiji's attack had no effect. Disgusting. Is there no way we can defeat the pirates today? At this moment, some Marine soldiers couldn't help but feel bewildered. In the Gorosei meeting room of the Holy Land of Mariajwa, carrying the samurai sword Ethan Baron V. Nasujiro said seriously, just now, a phone call came requesting reinforcements. What do you think of this? The Navy is getting more and more useless. They can't even handle this little thing. Shepherd Peter also had a very negative opinion of the Navy's efficiency. They've concentrated all of the Navy's highest fighting force and summoned the 7 warlords of the sea. And they couldn't even deal with the beast pirates. And they still want to request reinforcements. Topman Valkyrie Saint sat on the sofa, his arms crossed, propping up his chin, and said, however, Kaido is certainly bold enough to openly confront the Dragon Slayers. Furthermore, Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy are potential threats. Now that they both appeared at Navy headquarters, it's the perfect opportunity to eliminate them all. Marcus Mars Saint stood there and replied, however, even so, the Navy has deployed its entire strongest force, and yet they still need the world government's help. It's still somewhat unreasonable. Saint J. Garcia Saturn, sitting on the sofa and leaning on his cane, said, but the celestial dragons cannot be truly executed by Kaido. That would be a complete blow to our reputation. Therefore, Sengoku's request for reinforcements is worth considering. Topman Valkyrie Saint nodded in response. It's certainly worth considering. Ethan Baron V. Nasujiro Saint said, since that's the case, then let Cyborg Khan take to CPS to help. If that still fails, then we should consider reorganizing the Navy system. Roger, the Fire Fist Bloodline Ace, and Dragon, the Son of Dragon, the Straw Hat Luffy, we can capture them. This will be a crucial means for us to deal with Whitebeard and Dragon later. The risk is high, but the benefits after success are immense. Agreed. 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 This time, the Gorosei collectively agreed to this decision, letting Cyborg Kong lead the CPS to assist the Marine headquarters. It's impossible for the Gorosei to personally go into battle to help, right? The Marines have already gathered so much fighting power. If the Gorosei still needed to step forward, how would the world see the problem? Wouldn't their world government be weakened? Besides, it's just the beast pirates and a bunch of kids. If that were the case, and the Gorosei still needed to join the battlefield, then the world government wouldn't have the right to rule the world. It's important to note that the New World isn't simply home to the beast pirates. There are also the other 3 for Emperor's pirate crews. Besides the 4 emperors, there are many silver-ranked pirate crews below them, and even hidden old geezers. If these people saw the world government's weakened side, they would probably jump out and bite off a piece of its flesh the next moment. This attack on the beast pirates was originally intended to create a loophole in Wano country. Unexpectedly, things have escalated to this point, and even the Gorosei can't control how the situation will unfold. Marine Headquarters Marineford Battlefield. Sentomaru, leading a group of Pachifista, prepares to enter the battlefield. Given the current situation, they must increase their speed, break through the beast pirates' defenses, and find a way to rescue the celestial dragons. Kaido cannot be allowed to succeed in executing the celestial dragons. Once Kaido succeeds, the world will face a massive upheaval that Sengoku cannot predict or control. What is that? Why are there a group of guys who look exactly like Bartholomew Kuma? The pirates of the beast pirates looked at the pacifistas suspiciously. Ivankov, who was dealing with Bartholomew Kuma, was also shocked and directly questioned Kuma. Kuma, tell me, what exactly is going on? No, Doflamingo walked over leisurely with his hands in his pockets and said, I already said, Bartholomew Kuma has completely lost consciousness. Although I don't know what kind of deal Bartholomew Kuma made with the world government. But, without a doubt, these Pachifista weapons are the product of Bartholomew Kuma's dealings with the world government. Disgusting. Ivankov clenched his fists in frustration, saying, I have absolutely no idea what you're doing, Kuma. Weren't you the one who hated the world government the most before? Why would you do something like this? What Ivankov couldn't understand was this. What kind of deal did Bartholomew Kuma make with the world government? No, Doflamingo continued, laughing. However, the creation of these pacifistas has indeed strengthened the Navy and the world government's fighting power. Stop talking. Ivankov still wanted to wake Bartholomew Kuma, continuing to loudly question him. Kuma, you bastard, wake up. If you don't wake up, I'll beat you until you do. Queen, puffing on her cigar, watched a group of pacifists appear in the rear and said, "Finally, they've appeared." Governor Kaido mentioned the world government's human weapon, the pacifista. "Jack, you continue killing the Marines. I'll deal with those pacifists. We must bring back a few prototype machines for research." "All right, Big Brother Queen." Jack the Drought had no objections. He was more interested in killing the Marines. Constantly slaughtering them made Jack the Drought incredibly excited. As for fighting those machines, well, Jack the Drought wasn't interested. Leaving that to Big Brother Queen was the most suitable option. Meanwhile, in another place where lightning and thunder clashed, Kizaru said contemptuously, "How terrifying." Sentomaru even brought out the pacifistas. "Lightning Boy, I played with you long enough. Let's stop here." "What do you mean? Are you looking down on me?" Enel was stunned, very annoyed by Kizaru's tone. Enraged, Enel unleashed his full power of lightning, 200 million volt Thor. "I want you to understand the consequences of underestimating me." Enel's body swelled to enormous size, and the terrifying lightning power forced back all the Marines and pirates within its range. Kizaru, with a lecherous expression, said in a shocked voice, "How terrifying." It's no wonder it's a top-tier Logia-type Goro Goro no Mi ability, gathering such terrifying lightning power. This is the consequence of underestimating me. After using his strongest move, Enel became confident. Kizaru had been toying with him throughout the battle, which had already annoyed Enel greatly. "Admiral Kizaru, now you know how powerful our Lord Enel is." The pirates of the Beast Pirates cheered excitedly upon seeing Enel unleash Kamui. Meanwhile, the Marine soldiers were extremely worried as they watched their Admiral Kizaru. Vice Admiral Onigumo, smoking, loudly rebuked them. "Are you all idiots? This is our Marine's most powerful admiral. How could he be defeated by a Yonko officer?" Following Vice Admiral Onigumo's words, many Marine soldiers reacted. "Vice Admiral Onigumo is right. This is our admiral. He absolutely cannot be defeated by a Yonko officer." Admirals were their greatest belief. How could he lose to pirates? It was absolutely impossible. Seeing these fools finally come to their senses, Onigumo also scolded them. "Your psychological resilience is seriously lacking. How can you possibly eliminate pirates?" Enel's figure instantly vanished, reappearing above Kizaru, and terrifying lightning struck down. "How terrifying! A top-tier Logia-type Goro Goro no Mi," Kizaru said calmly with a contemptuous look in his eyes. Enel's Goro Goro no Mi ability was indeed powerful, but it wasn't so formidable that Kizaru found it difficult to deal with. After all, Enel relied on a top-tier Logia type, and Kizaru's own Pika Pika no Mi ability was also a top-tier Logia type. Then I should also be a little more serious. Otherwise, people might misunderstand that I can't handle a Yonko subordinate. Kizaru replied slowly with a disdainful expression. Enel, hearing this, was furious and completely underestimated. Just as Sor Enel, with his giant body, was about to attack Kizaru, Kizaru dodged the attack. "What? Why can't my Goro Goro no Mi ability keep up with your speed?" Enel was shocked this time. Clearly, they were both equally matched in speed. So how could Enel suddenly be unable to keep up with Kizaru's speed in the blink of an eye? Light speed kick. Kizaru's figure flashed, appearing to Enel's left, and he kicked. Enel was instantly sent flying. Kizaru landed slowly on the ground with his hands in his pockets, contemptuously saying, "Little brat, you don't think that just because you're a top-tier Logia user like me, you have the same strength as me, do you? You should know, I'm a Marine Admiral." Enel rushed out from the ruins, his whole body still emitting terrifying lightning, and questioned, "Tell me, why? How could your speed instantly surpass mine? How terrifying!" Kizaru continued to display his despicable expression, saying, "I possess the Pika Pika no Mi Devil Fruit ability, but it's not faster than your Goro Goro no Mi ability. Rather, I foresee the future and anticipate your actions. Kenbun Shoku Haki that foresees the future?" This time, Enel finally understood what was happening. He also recalled what the Flame King had told him during his sparring session, that top-tier Kenbun Shoku Haki users could briefly foresee the future. In other words, Kizaru had used his Kenbun Shoku Haki to briefly foresee the future, reacting in advance. That's why Enel himself felt Kizaru's speed was faster than his during their recent exchange. Kizaru raised a contemptuous hand and said, "So, young man, do you still think you have the strength to fight me?" At this point, Kizaru was too lazy to continue fighting Enel. After all, they had already fought so many rounds. it was enough. If he continued fighting, he, a dignified Marine Headquarters Admiral, would have his strength questioned. Although Kizaru was just making a living, he also had his pride. Enel slowly emerged from his Thor form and directly said, "I am no match for you." Enel's surrender was very straightforward. If it were him before, he wouldn't have surrendered, but since being trained by Kaido, Enel understood what it meant to be wise and adaptable. How terrifying! Such a decisive surrender. It's quite unexpected for me. Kizaru also didn't expect Enel to surrender so decisively. After all, this guy was usually very arrogant. No, Kizaru wouldn't be surprised if he admitted defeat to Enel. Nicole Robin approached Governor Kaido and said, "Lord Kaido, we're starting to fall behind. Jack the Drought, Who's Who, and the others are all being held back by the Vice Admirals. King is also being suppressed by Admiral Akainu. He hasn't been defeated yet. Enel can't defeat Kizaru either, and Queen is blocking the pacifistas. What? Do you think we might be defeated by the Marines?" Kaido asked with a smile. Nicole Robin shook her head and said, "Not really. With you here, that's our greatest strength." Kaido replied, "Those of you who want to join the fight, go ahead. Just be careful." "All right, Lord Kaido," Nicole Robin respectfully replied. Nicole Robin, Nami, Nojiko, Black Maria, and Monagi's girls have also joined the battlefield, and they can certainly cause some trouble for the Navy. However, according to Kaido, the Beast Pirates' training level is still insufficient. Only by pushing them to the limit can their training be effective, especially for the officers, who need to experience extreme combat. Otherwise, how can they grow? Aokiji also began to suppress Ace's Fire Fist. Akainu, noticing this, whispered, "Kizaru and Aokiji, those two bastards, are finally starting to pay attention." No, how could an admiral not be able to suppress a high-ranking officer or captain? If they truly couldn't suppress them, the Navy wouldn't be operating on this vast ocean. Even a second-in-command like the Flame King, Akainu was confident he could suppress, let alone Kizaru and Aokiji, who weren't even second-in-command figures. The Flame King sneered at Akainu, "So you Navy aren't anything special after all." HMPH. Well, you can still be arrogant now. Go ahead. I'll make sure you can't be arrogant later. Akainu raised his lava fist and aimed it at the Flame King, intending to strike. Facing Akainu's rock fist, Flame King crossed his arms, enveloping his head in flames and Bisashoku Haki. Bang! Struck in an instant, Flame King was forced back over 20 meters before finally stopping. Flame King's face darkened as he thought to himself that he couldn't continue fighting Akainu. Although he didn't want to admit it, Akainu's strength was indeed superior. Continuing the fight head-on, Flame King couldn't guarantee he wouldn't get injured after all. The Magu no Mi's destructive power was truly astonishing. During the battle, Flame King had to be mindful of the destructive damage the Magu no Mi's abilities could inflict. Indeed, defeating these admirals, like Akainu, still required Kaido's intervention. Akainu began to mockingly say, "As a member of the Lunarians clan, you are a criminal by birth. You should be grateful you've survived until now, yet you dare to jump out here." "Mr. Kaido will definitely change this world," Flame King replied steadfastly, completely unaffected by Akainu's words. Akainu was stunned by this, then continued mockingly, "Kaido can change the world. There's a limit to arrogance. Today, none of you beast pirates will leave Marine headquarters." Enough pointless talk. Flame King didn't want to waste any more time with Akainu. After all, talking to Akainu was pointless. Only a duel would reveal the truth. At the same time, Cyborg Kong, who had traveled from the Holy Land of Mariagua to Marine headquarters in Marineford, was also relentlessly pursuing his goal. This battle was something Cyborg Kong hadn't anticipated. He never imagined Sengoku would personally call the Gorosei to request reinforcements. Normally, the Navy's concentrated forces would be more than enough to deal with the beast pirates. Now, they needed his help, which meant something beyond Sengoku's control was at play. On an island in Marineford Bay, Kaido checked the time. An hour had passed. He smirked and declared, "Navy, I'll give you 1 hour. If you still can't rescue the Celestial Dragon, then the Celestial Dragon's life is over." This sudden turn of events caught the Navy completely off guard. Weren't they supposed to have 2 hours? Why was Kaido planning to execute the Celestial Dragon so early? Kizaru revealed a contemptuous look and said, "How terrifying. This time it's really troublesome." Ah, sigh. Aokiji said helplessly, the initiative is really being seized by Kaido. Akanu's eyelids twitched, and he angrily shouted, that bastard Kaido, does he really dare to execute a celestial dragon? The marine soldiers were also at a loss. Sengoku also loudly retorted, Kaido, there are still 2 hours until the execution. Ah! Facing Sengoku's questioning, Kaido mockingly replied, Sengoku, are you stupid? I never said when I would execute a celestial dragon. It's just that you fools can't even think of a way to rescue a celestial dragon. If that's the case, then let the celestial dragon die. Wait a minute. Sengoku was also on the verge of going berserk. It was clearly their home turf, yet they were completely under Kaido's control from beginning to end. Sengoku continued to question, Kaido, release the celestial dragon, and I can release your daughter too. Sengoku truly didn't dare let the celestial dragon die in Marineford, the marine headquarters, especially not in front of everyone. If that happened, the Marines would be permanently branded with shame. That bastard Kaido. Akainu immediately dropped his opponent, the Flame King, and turned to attack Kaido. He absolutely couldn't let Kaido kill the celestial dragon. The consequences would be far too far-reaching. The Flame King's eyes were unusually resolute as he said, Mr. Kaido, I won't let anyone disturb you. The Flame King flapped his wings and chased after Akainu. Under no circumstances can Akainu be allowed to interfere with Kaido's execution of the celestial dragons. If they successfully executed the celestial dragon, the reputation of the beast pirates would instantly skyrocket to another level. Kneeling at Kaido's feet, Charles finally couldn't hold back and begged for mercy. Lord Kaido, please don't kill me. I have a lot of money, many women. I can give you everything you want. Just spare me. I don't want to die. Lord Kaido. Facing death, Charles finally realized what true fear was. This scene of Charles begging for mercy was broadcast on a mobile phone. And even the words Charles spoke were relayed in detail to everyone present through Kaido's phone. Was that really a celestial dragon? Why do I feel like there's nothing special about him? Eventually, some marine soldiers couldn't hold back their questioning. After all, for a long time, the celestial dragons had been elevated to godlike status. Now, seeing the celestial dragons behaving so humbly in front of Kaido, they began to doubt whether they even needed to try and rescue Charles. Sengoku's face turned completely dark. That damn celestial dragon! How could the Marines tolerate this? They were risking their lives to save him. And the result was simply outrageous. Kaido slowly raised the spiked club in his hand, sneering, You useless Marines, I'll give you 1 more minute. After 1 minute, my spiked club will officially fall and blow off the heads of the celestial dragons. Sengoku's eyes widened instantly as he shouted, What are you all doing? Quickly stop Kaido. Do you want Kaido to kill a celestial dragon right in front of us? Sengoku was furious that, even after all this time in the war, only Akainu was truly contributing. Kizaru was completely wasting his time, and Aokiji was only putting in a little effort, though he was holding back a lot. Sengoku, as the admiral, could see through it. If even the admirals were this level, there would be no need to suppress the vast ocean. The pirates would wipe out the Marines first. How terrifying! Kizaru revealed a vile expression while simultaneously trembling as he said, It seems I can't continue to relax any longer. Aokiji looked at Fire Fist Ace and said, I guess I'll spare your life for now. I'll deal with you later. HMPH. You Marines also have moments of fear. Ace actually breathed a sigh of relief. He could already feel the pressure Aokiji was giving him, but this was good. Using this time difference, he absolutely had to rescue Yamato. If this opportunity was lost, then he might completely lose the chance. Moreover, he and Luffy were both key targets of the Marines' attention, meaning their time was even more limited. They had to seize every second. Akainu, on this side, wanted to escape from the Flame King, but ultimately failed. Facing the Flying Flame King, besides defeating the King, breaking through the Flame King's defenses was extremely difficult. The Flame King knew his strength was inferior to Akainu's, but stopping Akainu was absolutely no problem. The Marine Vice Admirals were also being held back by the Beast Pirates officers. However, after Kizaru defeated Enel, he went above Kaido and said contemptuously, How terrifying! As a Marine Admiral, I can't let you kill a celestial dragon. Kizaru began to gather the power of the Pika Pika no Mi devil fruit with both hands. Yasakani no Magatama. Countless laser beams shot towards Kaido. Governor Kaido! Governor Kaido! The beast pirates were all anxious. Their defenses had been breached by Kizaru. Edo crawled out from the ruins, glaring with extreme displeasure at Kizaru, who was launching an attack. Kaido smirked. Just as they were about to act, the Flame Ear King swiftly flew over. Kizaru Yasakani no Magatama's attack was blocked. Bang! Bang! Kizaru Yasakani no Magatama's attack completely struck the Flame Ear King's body. Kizaru, stunned, said, "Flame Ear King." At this moment, the Flame Ear King's body erupted in thick flames, completely deflecting Kizaru's attack. How is that possible? Admiral Kizaru actually blocked all of Admiral Kizaru's attacks. While the Marine soldiers were shocked that the Flame Ear King could unharmed Admiral Kizaru's attack, the next second they saw Admiral Akainu had already rushed to Kaido's front. Excellent! Admiral Akainu is about to succeed. The Marine soldiers immediately became excited. Finally, they had truly reached Kaido's front. Their victory was now within reach. Black Maria, Nami, Robin, and all the other women immediately became extremely nervous, including the beast pirates. However, there was one exception, who had been prearranged by Kaido to await orders from the Emperor. Akainu raised his lava fist and angrily shouted, "Got it!" Just as Akainu's lava fist was less than a meter away from Kaido, Kaido instantly grabbed a celestial dragon and held it in front of him. "Akainu, you're finished!" Akainu tried to retract his fist, but it was too late. This despicable Kaido was so shameless, using the celestial dragons as shields. A shocking scene unfolded. Akainu's lava fist pierced through the chests of the celestial dragons. And what's more, Akainu's own Kanbanshoku haki, which he had briefly encountered in the future, was now useless. This is the most terrifying part, otherwise, this scene wouldn't have happened. The Emperor held his phone, constantly taking pictures, and simultaneously, the images were broadcast to the outside world. The people of Sabati Archipelago were all wide-eyed with shock. The Marines themselves killed a celestial dragon. Even if it wasn't Akainu's intention, the truth was the truth. What had happened, no one could change. At Marineford, Marine headquarters, Akainu couldn't help but retreat several steps. He had personally killed a celestial dragon. Akainu realized trouble was about to befall him. Doflamingo spread his arms wide and arrogantly laughed. No, this scene is truly spectacular. Governor Kaido is truly a master strategist. Having Marine Admiral Akainu personally kill a celestial dragon, what will happen to those people in Moriagua next? Doflamingo could already imagine a very dramatic scenario. Bo Hancock muttered softly, "A celestial dragon is dead. A celestial dragon is really dead." Although she had just learned that the celestial dragons would eventually be killed, even now that they were truly dead, Bo Hancock still felt this scene was surreal, as if it weren't real. But what she saw confirmed it. Roar! 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 The pirates of the Beast Pirates were all incredibly excited. Governor Kaido had achieved a great victory. Kaido, the governor, was essentially no match for the Navy, who was being toyed with. The Navy soldiers were at a loss. They had tried everything to rescue the celestial dragons, but the celestial dragons still died at the hands of Admiral Akainu. For the Navy, this was a huge humiliation. From the start of the war until now, they had been utterly defeated, their strategy completely under Kaido's control. Sengoku's eyes widened in disbelief as he watched the celestial dragon, whose chest had been pierced by the lava fist and was still burning, his veins bulging. At this moment, Sengoku was unusually furious. Time seemed to freeze at that moment. Did Admiral Akainu just kill a celestial dragon with his own hands? A Marine lieutenant asked doubtfully. Although they had witnessed the scene firsthand, they couldn't tell if it was real or fake, and for a moment, they couldn't distinguish. A Marine captain beside him said, "It's true, Admiral Akainu fell for Kaido's trick." Admiral Akainu didn't do it intentionally. That's right. Admiral Akainu fell for Kaido's trick. Pirates are truly disgusting. We absolutely cannot let him get away with it. Another Marine lieutenant shouted loudly. They weren't incapable of distinguishing between right and wrong. It was precisely because they knew that Admiral Akainu was innocent and had fallen for Kaido's scheme. How terrifying! My comrade, Kizaru, with a cowardly yet strange expression, said, "That was really dangerous. Otherwise, it would have been me who personally killed the celestial dragon just now. But thankfully, the celestial dragon ultimately died. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to act so rashly." Kizaru knew that even if it wasn't intentional, killing a celestial dragon himself couldn't change the fact. Even if it was him, he wouldn't be able to avoid being punished by the holy land of Mariajua. But he couldn't continue to live a carefree life. However, now that Akainu was taking over, it could be considered a blessing for his colleague. After all, he didn't know how the Gorosei would handle it, and of course, they would have to wait until the war ended. Speaking of which, Kaido, that guy from the Beast Kingdom, was truly vicious. Akainu had always wanted to compete for the position of admiral, and he was probably going to have a tough time this time. In the shadows, it's probably not that big of a deal. After all, he's a top-tier admiral, a top-tier fighter. But this kind of thing happening in front of the whole world, damn. Aokiji, with one hand in his pocket, scratched his head and said, a little. It's not that bad. Akainu's Kenbanshoku Haki couldn't sense it early. Alright. For some reason, even Aokiji himself didn't realize that he felt a deep sigh of relief. Because Akainu was aiming for the admiral position, and although Aokiji himself wasn't interested in the admiral position, he didn't want Akainu to become it because Akainu was too radical. Now, with this incident, Akainu's chances of continuing to compete for the admiral position are extremely slim. After all, Kaido has already used his cunning. He certainly won't give up like this. Because the only way to recover the remaining ground is to completely annihilate Kaido and the Beast Pirates in this war. In the rear of the Navy, Vice Admiral Tsuru shook his head helplessly and said, "We should have taken the initiative. But Kaido completely toyed with us. I also made some mistakes in this. Only by winning this war can we completely recover our losses." Ah! Garp exclaimed, "Is Kaido really that smart? It's completely unbelievable." After all, according to Garp, even the stupid celestial dragons were easily defeated. The supernovas observing from the Sabaudi archipelago all had strange expressions on their faces. The Navy Admiral Akainu's failure to kill a celestial dragon was probably unprecedented in 8 to 100 years. However, it also further highlighted Kaido's terrifying power. The Navy, having anticipated this situation and proactively initiated a naval war, has yet to gain any advantage. One can imagine how terrifying that is. Walking along the long road, Sengoku truly wanted to punch Akainu, but he was utterly deceived by Kaido. Akainu, the one involved, watched as the celestial dragon he killed was deeply regretful, but the deed was done, and regret was useless. Akainu said coldly, "You've really tricked me, Kaido." Haha, Kaido retorted mockingly, "Akainu, I'm looking forward to your next move." At the same time, while all the Navy's soldiers were stunned, Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy had secretly arrived at the bottom of the execution platform. Fire Fist Ace whispered, "Luffy, this is a good opportunity. While the Marines haven't had time to react, let's rescue the Yamato base." "Yeah, I think so too." Straw Hat Luffy nodded in agreement. Fire Fist Ace then said seriously, "Luffy, act according to the plan." The next moment, Straw Hat Luffy's hand grabbed Ace's arm, and his other arm instantly extended to grab the edge of the execution table. Sengoku, seeing the suddenly extended hand, was stunned, wondering whose hand it was. Then he saw Straw Hat Luffy pulling Fire Fist Ace appear before him. Sengoku's eyes widened in disbelief, saying, "What? It's you two little brats." Sengoku instantly sensed something was wrong. Just now, Kaido's scheme to have Akainu personally kill a celestial dragon had caused the entire marine to fall into shock. Forget about the scene with Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy. Sengoku activated his Devil Fruit ability, angrily shouting, "But I'm here." You can forget about rescuing Kaido's daughter. If Kaido's daughter were rescued, the Navy's reputation would be completely ruined. At that point, even 1,000 excuses wouldn't be enough to compensate for the Navy's serious failure. When Sengoku transformed into his great Buddha form, his tall, golden body instantly captivated the attention of the Navy and pirates present. What's happening? Is that Admiral Sengoku using his ability? No, Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy appeared in the image. What? This is bad. The Navy, upon seeing this, bristled with anger. It was simply incredibly humiliating. Meanwhile, the pirates of the Beast Pirates burst into laughter. This isn't good either. Kizaru, with a humble expression, said, "The Navy has suffered repeated defeats. This time it's going to be tough." Garp patted his head with both hands, muttering, "Luffy, Ace. You too." Yamato, kneeling, looked at Ace and Luffy, moved to tears. Model Sengoku, the great Buddha, raised his right hand and declared, "With me here. How could you two young brats possibly rescue me and execute me?" Great Buddha shockwave. Sengoku launched his attack without mercy. At this point, he couldn't afford to lose face. This battle couldn't end in defeat. Flame net. Ace hastily used the Mera Mera no Mi ability, forming a protective net of flames to block Sengoku's attack. Boom, however, facing Sengoku's Great Buddha shockwave, Ace's flame net only lasted less than 2 seconds before shattering and scattering. Meanwhile, Ace, Luffy, and Yamato were all simultaneously struck by the powerful shockwave. Trouble! How did he break free? What Sengoku saw was that the sea stone handcuffs on Kaido's daughter's hands had been unlocked. This left Sengoku utterly bewildered. He didn't know that Luffy had used a key specially crafted by Frankie to unlock the sea stone handcuffs. Ace, Luffy, and Yamato all spat out blood, with Luffy in the most serious condition, directly gushing a large amount of blood. The entire execution platform completely collapsed under the impact of Sengoku's shockwave. Sengoku hastily ordered, "Don't stand there. Quickly capture these guys." "Yes, Marshal Sengoku," the Marines quickly responded. Ace, along with Luffy and Yamato, rushed out from the ruins, preparing to leave. The Straw Hat Pirates smiled, and Sanji said, "That's great. Luffy is all right." "That's right. I was really worried to death just now." Usopp still couldn't help but react. After all, Marine Admiral Sengoku's attack was truly terrifying. Zoro reminded them, "Now is not the time for us to stand around. We must hurry and go support Luffy." "That's right." Frankie clapped his hands in agreement. Brook drew his katana and said loudly, "Everyone, let's go and help Luffy." Brook led the way, followed closely by the other members of the Straw Hat Pirates. Kuma Ivankov, who was dealing with Bartholomew, also showed a satisfied smile. Luffy and his brother Ace had finally succeeded. Jin also smiled and whispered, as expected of Mr. Ace. Yamato was rescued in an instant, attracting a large amount of naval firepower, and the 100 Beasts pirate crew immediately felt the pressure drop. In this short time, the Flame King returned to Kaido's side. Protecting Kaido was also the Flame King's duty. The 100 Beasts pirate crew members were all extremely excited, with some pirates loudly mocking, "You foolish Marines, daring to declare war on us, the 100 Beasts pirate crew. This is your fate. Do you know how powerful we are?" That's right. Just like Governor Kaido said, these Marines are nothing but trash, good-looking but useless. The mocking voices continued without stopping, causing the faces of the Marines to darken like Kurozumi's. At this moment, Cyborg Kong, who had been speeding from the sacred land of Mariajoa, frowned upon seeing the chaotic scene at Marineford, the Marine headquarters. Cyborg Kong's appearance also drew everyone's attention. Commander-in-Chief Cyborg Kong. The Commander-in-Chief has come to help us. We must wipe out the beast pirates. Justice will prevail. Not a single pirate will be left alive. A Marine Rear Admiral shouted loudly. Bo Hancock looked at the newly arrived old man and said in surprise, "Is that man the Commander-in-Chief of the entire army, Cyborg Kong?" The former Marine Admiral. "I didn't think even he would personally come here." Bo Hancock realized that even Commander-in-Chief Cyborg Kong had personally come, meaning this war wouldn't end until a decisive victory was decided. No, Doflamingo, with his hands in his pockets, licked his lips and chuckled. What does Mr. Kaido want to do? After all, the difference in combat power is vast. After Cyborg Kong entered the fray, Doflamingo also wanted to know how Mr. Kaido would respond to the current situation. Previously, the strategy had given the Navy many advantages, but ultimately victory or defeat still rested with Kaido. As long as Kaido didn't fall, this war would likely not end. Now Doflamingo was curious about what Kaido would do. Garp was initially quite happy that his nephews Luffy and Ace were safe, but after seeing Commander-in-Chief Cyborg Kong appear, Garp's face darkened. Chief of Staff Vice Admiral Tsuru said seriously, "Later, we must also join the battle for the Navy's victory." Having waited a long time, Sengoku saw Admiral Cyborg Kong arrive and retreated from model Great Buddha. However, the Marine soldiers were still blocking the path of Fire Fist Ace, Straw Hat Luffy, Yamato, and others. Cyborg Kong approached Sengoku, then looked at Beast Kaido, saying meaningfully, "I never imagined that the little brat from Rock's ship would grow up to be this big, causing the Marines so much trouble. I'm sorry, this is my fault." Sengoku proactively admitted that his strategy had failed. After all, it was the truth who told him he was the Marine Admiral. Cyborg Kong said, "Sengoku, this isn't your fault. We Marines are responsible for the peace of the entire ocean, and we can't possibly attend to everything perfectly. There must be some oversights." The morale of the Marine soldiers soared. After all, even Admiral Cyborg Kong had come to help them. Kill them. Destroy the beast pirates. Kill Fire Fist Ace and Straw Hat Luffy. Counterattack, counterattack, wipe out the trashy Marines. The beast pirates showed no signs of retreat. How terrifying. Kizaru said contemptuously, "I'll continue searching for that adult kid, taking advantage of the chaos." Kizaru really didn't want to face Kaido. He didn't know what other wicked schemes Kaido would come up with to trick the Marines, with Commander-in-Chief Cyborg Kong and the two CP members joining later. Sengoku once again rearranged the battle plan. The previously formulated battle plan was now completely worthless. After all, the celestial dragons were dead, and Kaido's daughter, who was to be executed, had been rescued. Now, the entire Navy had to go all out to achieve victory in this war. Sengoku apologized to Commander-in-Chief Cyborg Kong, saying, "I'm sorry, Commander-in-Chief Kong, for making you come all this way. Only after arriving at the scene did I realize how serious the situation had become." Cyborg Kong swept his gaze across the entire battlefield, then looked at the beast pirates, and replied to Sengoku, "Our Navy cannot afford to lose this war again." "That's right, so we'll have to trouble you to join us in attacking Kaido later." Sengoku spoke with an extremely serious tone. At this point, only by completely annihilating the beast pirates could they restore their lost prestige. It could be said that this war was originally intended to enhance the Navy's prestige, but things had completely deviated from that path. The Navy's prestige had been utterly defeated by Kaido of the Beast Pirates. On Kaido's side, King Flame King flew over and respectfully said, "Mr. Kaido, that old man is the former Marine Admiral, now the Supreme Commander of the world government's entire army, Cyborg Kong. Their top-tier combat power far surpasses ours. Should we continue fighting or retreat?" King Flame King's suggestion stemmed from his recent battle with Admiral Akainu, where he realized that none of the Marines' top-tier admirals were ordinary individuals. Even Akainu's strength was greater than his own. Moreover, the Marine headquarters has about 3 admirals, and among the beast pirates, besides Mr. Kaido, King himself is the strongest fighter. While their core forces are manageable, the top-tier combatants are a different story. Now, they have to consider the Marine Admiral Sengoku, who hasn't yet made a move, the Supreme Commander of the entire army, Cyborg Kong, and the renowned Marine hero, Garp. Initially, King Yantai disregarded the Marine's strength, but now that war has broken out, he realizes the Marine's power far surpasses that of the beast pirates. Even if he can stop one admiral, Queen, Jack, and Enel alone cannot stop an admiral. This leaves Mr. Kaido facing multiple top-tier Marine fighters alone. Therefore, the danger is greatly increased. Therefore, King Flame's suggestion to Kaido at this moment was whether or not to retreat, because Yamato had been rescued, and they had successfully publicly revealed the location of the celestial dragons. This meant the operation was successful, and there was no need to fight alongside the Marines, resulting in massive casualties. Among the beast pirates, there were those who shared King Flame's thoughts, a significant portion of them. People like Nicole Robin and others believed that since the strategic operation had been successful, retreating was a viable option. Continuing the war would lead to massive casualties for the beast pirates as a whole, and upon returning to the New World, they would undoubtedly attract the attention of other ambitious individuals. Ha ha ha! Kaido tilted his head back and burst into laughter, shouting loudly, "Listen, all members of the beast pirates. Today's battle will be fought until victory. As for these worthless Marines, I will fight until they surrender. Bastard! How dare you insult us like this?" The Marine soldiers all bristled, completely humiliated. Kizaru said contemptuously, "How terrifying! I was planning to find that Thunder Enel to mess with me, but it seems I have to take this seriously this time. That's what we were going to do. Aokiji replied, walking over to Kizaru. Akainu was so enraged he couldn't contain himself, angrily shouting, the old man, will personally slaughter that bastard Kaido. Anagumo, Momonga, Yamakaji, Doberman, and more than 10 other vice admirals glared angrily at Kaido of the beasts. If they didn't defeat Kaido today, their navy would forever be stuck on a pillar of shame, never to be cleansed. Cyborg Kong, along with Sengoku and Garp, advanced from the rear of the navy. Garp said seriously, "It's been a long time since I've fought." Garp, don't be like a broken-down car later, Sengoku said with equally serious tone. Cyborg Kong said, at this age, you still have to accompany the young navy in high-intensity battles, and Kaido doesn't seem to want to leave this place, yet he intends to defeat the navy. A pipe dream. Kaido of the Beasts had gained so much advantage. It could be said that his plan had succeeded. Now the plan is to go head-to-head with the navy. That would undoubtedly be suicidal. The navy may have stood strong for 800 years, but it doesn't simply rely entirely on the world government. Moreover, the Navy headquarters possesses the highest combat power, with the 3 admirals and the fleet admiral as its commanders, enough to surpass many. Not to mention the group of elite Navy officers and veteran vice admirals. Do they really think that leading a Yonko crew alone can go head-to-head with the Navy? In terms of head-to-head confrontations, Sengoku and Garp wouldn't consider the Navy a failure. If they couldn't even handle the beast pirates, they wouldn't be able to survive on this vast ocean. Jack the Drought led the charge, shouting loudly, "We'll follow Governor Kaido and destroy the navy." Lord Jack is right. We'll follow Governor Kaido and destroy the navy. The beast pirates also joined in the shouts. Nicole Robin watched Kaido anxiously, not understanding why he wanted to fight the Marines. This was completely disadvantageous to Kaido and the beast pirates. Kaido instructed King Flame, "King, later you lead the beast pirates to retreat to the rear. I'll handle these Marines myself. I'll show them what true divine power is." King, with his eyes wide with disbelief, stared at Mr. Kaido and said, "Mr. Kaido, you intend to?" Kaido raised his spiked club and stepped forward, saying, "King, do as I say." "Yes, Mr. Kaido." King didn't ask for the reason further. Since Mr. Kaido had ordered him to lead the beast pirates to retreat, he would just follow Mr. Kaido's instructions. King transformed into his pteranodon form and flew into the air, shouting, "Everyone listen. Mr. Kaido has ordered all of us in the beast pirates to retreat. Mr. Kaido intends to personally fight the Marines." The Marines were completely stunned. There's a limit to how much you can underestimate them. What, is that true? His father? Yamato stared in disbelief at her father Kaido, unable to understand why he would do such a thing. Ace was equally astonished, as were the Straw Hat Pirates. After all, Kaido's move was too shocking. He wanted to single-handedly confront the entire Marine force. Black Maria's eyes lit up with excitement, saying, "As expected of Lord Kaido, he truly amazes me more and more." "Lord Kaido, won't what he's doing be too dangerous?" Nami asked worriedly. Junto replied, "What's there to be afraid of? Let's make Lord Kaido suffer. That's what makes it interesting." Nojiko said, "In short, we should retreat as quickly as possible. Lord Kaido has given the order." "That's right." Robin agreed with Nojiko. In the current situation, they could only act according to Lord Kaido's orders. Monet glanced furtively at Kaido, the Beast King, wondering how that man could possess such haki, daring to face so many Marines alone. Enel scoffed, "This is truly frustrating. I haven't even had my fill of fighting yet." Who's Who said admiringly, "As expected of my loyal Lord Kaido. Of course, our Lord Kaido is invincible." The Wood Spirit was equally impressed with Governor Kaido, believing that even the Marines couldn't do anything to him, because the Marines didn't have the strength. Page 1 kicked a Marine away, laughing heartily. "This time we get to see Lord Kaido display his great Kamui." After Jack the Drought had killed several Marines, he cruelly said, "If it weren't for Lord Kaido's orders, I will definitely chop all of you lecherous Navy men to death." Caesar stammered, "Help, help, Lord Kaido is terrifying. I'm scared to death, help." "Quiet, Caesar, you bastard." Queen, on the side, was almost speechless. She definitely needed to teach this Caesar a lesson. Otherwise, Caesar could end up with a son. Queen didn't want to go through that. Now that she had successfully collected the three-tailed Pachufista, she needed to study it thoroughly upon her return. Now that Lord Kaido was about to personally intervene, Queen was also very much looking forward to it. Boa Hancock's eyes lit up, staring in disbelief at the Beast King Kaido who dared to attack the celestial dragons. She whispered, "What kind of person are you? You're completely unafraid of any danger." No, Doflamingo was truly impressed by Kaido's haki. Regardless of whether he could win or not, this fearless haki alone was enough to earn his admiration. He chuckled and said, "In this war, the Navy shouldn't be able to keep Mr. Kaido here." According to Doflamingo, since Kaido dared to boast, he should still have the ability to leave the Navy headquarters. Jin shook his head helplessly and said, "It's good that Mr. Ace and the others are safe and sound. Being caught up in this Uzumaki battle isn't what I wanted." Even the hawk-eyed Mihawk rarely showed a hopeful look, saying, "Let me see with my own eyes whether you, Kaido of the 100 Beasts, can accomplish this great feat." To dare to say he'd face the entire Navy alone, he must be extremely confident in his own strength. It just so happened that Hawkeye Mihawk also wanted to witness Kaido's power firsthand. Smoker, Hina, and other mid-level Marines all had grim expressions. Sengoku shouted, "Everyone below Vice Admiral, go intercept the Beast Pirates. Don't let them escape. Leave Kaido to the Admirals and us old-timers." "Yes, Marshal Sengoku." Anagumo, Momonga, Yamakaji, Doberman, and the other Vice Admirals responded in unison. Kizaru, with his hands in his pockets, said contemptuously, "Mr. Sengoku, dealing with Kaido is something we three Admirals should handle. If you all get involved, wouldn't that show that we Marines have no one to defend ourselves?" Sengoku was also a little surprised. How could Kizaru, who liked to take advantage of chaos, say such things? Aokiji chimed in, "That's right, Mr. Garp, Kaido may be strong, but he's not so powerful that even the three of us Admirals are no match for him." Haha Garp laughed in response, saying, "It's the same thing." Cyborg Kong said, "Then let the three of them team up to deal with Kaido." Sengoku and Garp had no objections. After all, these were the three Admirals with the highest fighting power in the Navy. If even their combined strength couldn't defeat the Yonko Kaido, then the Navy could disband. Akainu, emitting thick lava, said coldly, "Let me deal with Kaido first." "I don't think Kaido is stronger than me," in Akainu's opinion. His strength was such that he wouldn't be at a disadvantage against any Yonko. This was Akainu's confidence. "How terrifying, Sakazuki," Kizaru said contemptuously, looking at Akainu. Aokiji glanced at Akainu, saying nothing more. Akainu wanted to fight alone, so let him fight. This scene also left Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, and Garp utterly speechless. Cyborg Kong said, "Those three are still the same." "That's right, Commander Kong," Sengoku replied helplessly. Kaido's lips curved into a faint smile as he watched Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, Garp, and the three Admirals. They thought his strength was still at the Emperor level, didn't they? He'd let them understand what true hell was all about in a moment. Kaido would continuously increase his power, slowly crushing them, making the Marines tremble with fear. Kaido gripped his spiked club, his eyes enveloped in a red Heishoku aura. Thunderbolt 8 trigrams. Kaido's figure instantly vanished from sight, and the next moment, Kaido, gripping his spiked club, appeared before Kizaru. What? Kizaru hadn't expected Kaido to attack him so quickly upon arrival, and with such speed. He hastily activated his Basashoku Haki to protect his head. Bang! When Kizaru felt the force of Kaido's spiked club piercing through him, he was stunned. Without time to think, Kizaru was sent flying several hundred meters away by Kaido. The Marine Headquarters Marineford building collapsed over a large area. Boom! Mr. Kizaru. No way, Mr. Kizaru was instantly sent flying by the Yonko Kaido. The Marine soldiers, seeing this, were all instantly panicked. Kaido's speed was incredible. Aside from Kizaru, who was sent flying, only 6 people in the entire arena could barely sense his whereabouts. These 6 were Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Akainu, Aokiji, and Hawkeye Mihawk. Hawkeye Mihawk exclaimed in disbelief, his speed, so fast, incredibly fast. Kizaru, amidst the ruins, spat out a mouthful of blood, gasped for breath, shook his head, and whispered, "What just happened? Why is Kaido's power so strong?" Kaido's attack force had exceeded Kizaru's calculations. Governor Kaido's haki is mighty. The pirates of the Beast Pirates shouted excitedly. Flame-eared King looked at Mr. Kaido's figure. Mr. Kaido's fighting power seemed to have increased even more. No one knew that, even without his devil fruit abilities, Kaido, with his own strength and haki, could suppress an emperor-level opponent. This was Kaido's power superimposed on Aramaki Ryokyuju's power. Hina, not even noticing the cigarette but burning her fingers, said, "I didn't step forward immediately after seeing Admiral Kizaru being knocked away. After all, the opponent was a Yonko, a top-tier pirate." Smoker's expression was also very grim. Kaido's strength was surprisingly immense. Akainu glared at Kaido, his eyelids twitching as he gritted his teeth and said, "That bastard Kaido?" Kizaru reappeared on the battlefield in a flash of light, but blood was clearly visible at the corner of his mouth. He said contemptuously, "How terrifying, Kaido! I've forgotten how long it's been since I last suffered a wound." Ha ha ha! Kaido slammed the head of his spiked club into the ground, laughing as he said, "You high-ranking marine officers, aren't you planning to team up against me? If you're so arrogant, your fate will be terrible." "Humph, don't exaggerate, Kaido. Let me meet you." Akainu threw off his cloak and lunged at Kaido. Kaido looked at Cyborg Kong, Sengoku, Garp, Aokiji, and the others, sneering, "Since you all dare to be so arrogant, then." Kaido clapped his hands, and the Edo Autonomy ability within him instantly activated. Flower Tree World Descent. With Kaido at the center, countless trees sprouted from the ground. What is that? Why does Kaido have this ability? Sengoku's eyes widened in disbelief. Garp's expression turned grim as he said, "This is bad. Kaido's target is the soldiers." However, Garp's warning was already too late. A massive spread of branches engulfed the entire Marineford headquarters square. All marine soldiers continuously cut off the branches, but many were impaled. The bodies of the impaled marine soldiers withered rapidly. And that wasn't all. These withered marine soldiers were completely absorbed, their life force transforming into a fraction that flowed into Kaido's body. Sengoku urgently shouted, "Quick, stop Kaido!" Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Garp, and Sengoku, including Cyborg Kong, all rushed towards Kaido. "We can't let Kaido continue his reckless behavior like this. The number of casualties in the Navy will absolutely reach unprecedented levels." Jack the Drought gaped in disbelief, saying, "Is this really our Governor Kaido?" So Governor Kaido has a second Devil Fruit ability. That's right, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have known Governor Kaido had a second Devil Fruit ability. Queen was equally shocked. Queen continued, "Normally, it's impossible for a person to possess two Devil Fruit abilities, but Governor Kaido can do it." "What nonsense are you talking about? This is our Lord Kaido." "There's nothing Lord Kaido can't do." Black Maria gave him the highest praise. King Flame's eyes gleamed with excitement as he said, "Mr. Kaido, immediately. It's possible to transform the world with the power of humans. Great Eruption Daifunten, Frozen Time Capsule, Yasakani no Magatama, Great Buddha Shockwave, Iron Fist, Impact, Steel Bone Penetration." Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Sengoku, Garp, and Cyborg Kong, all six of them attacked Kaido. Boom! As the six concentrated their attacks, the entire ground instantly crumbled. Aokiji raised his eyebrows and said, "We didn't hit Kaido." As soon as Aokiji finished speaking, Kaido's body transformed into a pile of shattered trees. Kaido continuously increased his intensity, devouring the life force of these marines. He devoured as much as he could. This was the purpose of his visit to Marine headquarters, not to specifically seek out and fight these marines. By channeling all the life force from the devouring curse into his body and transferring it to his right eye. Simultaneously evolving both eyes into Rinnegan would require an enormous amount of life energy. Therefore, Kaido decided to first let the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan in his right eye evolve into Rinnegan. The desperate cries of the marine soldiers pierced Sengoku's nerves. Sengoku knew he couldn't let Kaido continue his slaughter. The losses would be immeasurable. At this moment, Aokiji hurriedly reminded him, "Marshal Sengoku, tell them not to pursue the beast pirates. Find a way to retreat. We can't let Kaido continue his rampage." That's what I was planning to." Sengoku nodded in response. Immediately, Sengoku shouted, "Everyone, retreat. Don't get entangled with the pirates any longer. Saving your lives is the priority." Meanwhile, Cyborg Khan's thoughts were different from Sengoku's. He was contemplating how the Gorosei would deal with Kaido, a dual devil fruit user. Of course, the best outcome would be to capture Kaido on the spot, but the worst-case scenario must also be considered. Countless branches are still spreading, and only Marines with the strength of a lieutenant colonel or higher can barely cope with these countless branches. But even then, it's a perilous situation, with the constant risk of death. In the true sense, only those with the strength of a rear admiral or higher can truly resist. This is because Kaido needs to control a large number of branches to absorb the Marines. Otherwise, even a lieutenant admiral would still be insignificant in front of Kaido. Garp leapt up, swinging his fist towards the branches, and unleashed an iron punch. Boom! In an instant, a large area of branches was shattered by the power of Garp's iron punch. Garp wouldn't stand idly by and watch the Marine soldiers be ruthlessly slaughtered by Kaido. He absolutely had to find a way to save them. Moreover, among the Marines present, the giant Vice Admiral was also a key target for Kaido, as such a massive body should possess a greater life force. This was Kaido's speculation. Only after absorbing the giant Vice Admiral could he truly understand what was happening. Sengoku transformed into model, Great Buddha, leaping up and aiming directly at Kaido, striking down. Be careful, Kaido! Great Buddha Shockwave. Facing Sengoku's Great Buddha Shockwave, Kaido raised his spiked club to block it. Boom! The terrifying Great Buddha Shockwave struck Kaido, but the immense energy was split into by the hockey infused into the spiked club. What? Sengoku raised his eyebrows, unable to believe that his model, Great Buddha attack had been shattered by Kaido like that. This scene was truly beyond Sengoku's expectations. Yasakani no Magatama. Following closely behind, Kizaru's attacks rained down from the air towards Kaido. Just as he blocked Sengoku's Great Buddha Shockwave, Kaido immediately gripped his spiked club with both hands and forcefully swung it at the falling Yasakani no Magatama. Bang, bang, bang! The powerful gusts of wind and air blocked Kizaru's Yasakani no Magatama in midair. Before Kaido could even catch his breath, he felt a surge of heat rapidly approaching from behind. Mago! Akanu's condensed lava fist was already hurtling towards Kaido's head. Kaido quickly turned around, facing Sengoku, Kizaru, and Akanu's relentless attacks. Unable to adjust his stance, Kaido could only choose to defend. His right hand instantly enveloped in Bisashoku Haki, blocking the attack. Boom! When Akenu Mago's lava fist struck Kaido's arm, Kaido frowned and muttered, "What? This Bisashoku Haki is so incredibly powerful. It easily blocked my lava fist." There was no way around it. The Bisashoku Haki emanating from Kaido was a level Akenu had never encountered before, and it even surpassed Garp's Bisashoku Haki. What Akainu didn't know was that this was the combined power of two Emperor-level Bisashoku Haki users, Kaido of the 100 Beasts and Aramaki Ryokuju. Ryokuju, after all, was a user who had reached the ranks of Emperor-level powerhouses. Akainu's earlier defeat in killing the Celestial Dragon was unforeseen, and Kaido used Kenban Goroshi to neutralize Akainu's Kenban Shoku Haki, which could predict the future. Ice Ball. In midair, Aokuji shot two ice pillars from his body. Sweeping towards Kaido, Akainu quickly retreated and said irritably, "That bastard Aokuji, does he want to freeze me too?" Kaido knew that this attack was unavoidable unless he unleashed immense power. After being swept by Aokuji's ice ball, Kaido was frozen in place. A second later, Kaido broke free from the ice. Garp instantly appeared in front of Kaido, his hand gripping Kaido's head, pouring all his strength into it. Deep Sea Fall. Boom! Kaido was slammed into the ground by Garp, instantly creating a deep crater. Kaido vanished from everyone's sight. Facing relentless attacks from Sengoku, Kizaru, Akainu, Aokuji, and Garp, Kaido officially fell into a disadvantage. Excellent! Vice Admiral Garp has successfully subdued the Yonko Kaido. The Marine soldiers were excited at this sight. They had finally subdued the Yonko Kaido, something they had been constantly worried about. However, the Marine soldiers didn't know that their nightmare had only just begun. Seeing this, Jack the Drought anxiously exclaimed, "This is bad. Governor Kaido has been knocked underground. We must rescue him quickly." The other pirates of the Beast Pirates thought the same. After all, their Governor Kaido was facing so many Marine experts alone. It was only natural that he couldn't withstand it. Black Maria, Kozuki Hayori, Robin, Nami, Nojiko. and the other women looked even more worriedly towards the spot where Lord Kaido had fallen underground. The Flame King spoke up to stop them, saying, "Wait a moment, you all shouldn't act rashly. Mr. Kaido won't fall so easily." The Flame King didn't believe that Mr. Kaido would simply fall. Yamato, who was fleeing with Ace, also hadn't expected his father Kaido's fighting power to be so great, honestly. It was the first time he'd seen it. Ace, on the other hand, said admiringly, "Yamato, your father Kaido is incredibly strong. He's truly worthy of being as famous as my father." Straw Hat Luffy, Zoro, and the others were all extremely shocked by the power of the four emperors Kaido. Straw Hat Luffy clenched his fists and said firmly, "I will definitely become even stronger. Only by defeating these people can I become the Pirate King." Garp's eyes were fixed on Kaido, whom he had knocked underground. Although he couldn't see Kaido's figure, Garp still reminded them, "We shouldn't underestimate him. That Kaido isn't that simple." As soon as Garp finished speaking, an incredibly terrifying energy quickly erupted from the ground. Aokiji shouted, "Mr. Garp, be careful." Heat breath. A thick stream of flames spewed from the ground, engulfing Garp completely. "Garp!" Sengoku anxiously shouted. The marine soldiers also shouted worriedly, "Vice Admiral Garp." Immediately afterwards, a gigantic dragon head spewing flames erupted from the ground, and instantly a colossal azure dragon, approximately 1,000 meters long, appeared in the Marineford headquarters square. Hina's eyes widened in disbelief, saying, "Is that a dragon?" "Yes." As expected, that dragon is Kaido, Smoker replied with a very grim expression. The pirates of the Beast Pirates were all excitedly shouting, "Lord Kaido's haki is mighty. He defeated the Marines." Who's Who said admiringly, as expected of Lord Kaido, he took several attacks from those guys and still remained completely unharmed. Kaido opened his dragon mouth and sneered, "With you guys working together, is this all the strength you have? You've disappointed me greatly, a bunch of trashy Marines." The aged cyborg Kong's face and furrowed brows deepened as he said, "What exactly happened? How did Kaido become so powerful? And even the Navy and the world government's intelligence systems don't know about it." Garp crawled up from the ground, his whole body still enveloped in thick smoke, unable to withstand Kaido's heat. Garp said seriously, "Kaido's strength is already stronger than Roger's. To put it bluntly, he's already above rocks." "What? Garp, you're not joking." "Above rocks?" Sengoku almost gaped in astonishment. Rocks was arguably the strongest person Sengoku had ever met. Even Whitebeard was slightly weaker than rocks, and now Garp was saying Kaido's strength was already above rocks. Sengoku's face darkened as he said, "This is bad. We must deal with Kaido. It's not that future navies and world governments will cause trouble. I can't believe it. How could someone be born like this? Who?" Cyborg Kong shook his head helplessly. He was extremely old now. Even though his strength remained, his physical strength was severely lacking. Therefore, the future of the era still had to rely on the younger generation. He was considered a retired person from the previous era. The current leader was Sengoku, but Sengoku was also nearing retirement age. Akainu gritted his teeth and said, "It's simply incredibly humiliating. Even the 5 of us, the Marines' 3 admirals and 5 fleet admirals, couldn't take down Kaido. It's simply laughable. How are we supposed to suppress the seas now? How terrifying." Kaido, the Azure Dragon. Kizaru was also extremely frustrated. Although Kizaru had previously felt Kaido's strength was formidable, he never imagined it would be this powerful. It was simply unbelievable. Aokiji's expression was also extremely serious as he looked at the Azure Dragon Kaido in the sky and said, "This is the first time I've felt such immense pressure. He's truly formidable." The 4 Emperors Kaido. The strongest creature of the sea, land, and air, Kaido, the strongest in the world, Whitebeard, is about to be replaced, and Whitebeard is getting old too. Haha Garp laughed heartily, saying, "Aokiji, you little brat, aren't you just saying I'm old?" "I'm not." Aokiji immediately felt a sense of unease. Akainu raised his hands, transforming them into lava, and angrily shouted, "Instead of wasting time talking nonsense, you'd better attack Kaido." Meteor shower Ryusei Kazan. Lava fists continuously spewed from Akainu's hands, sweeping towards the Azure Dragon Kaido. Kaido calmly watched the incoming lava fists, his massive dragon body beginning to move incessantly. Tornado. His dragon body spun like a top, creating several massive tornadoes. As the tornadoes appeared, the entire Marineford headquarters square was instantly engulfed in swirling water and wind. Akanu's lava meteor volcano attacks were all neutralized by Kaido's Azure Dragon tornadoes. "Stop, you bastard!" Akanu snarled, knowing it wouldn't be easy to injure Kaido. It was just incredibly frustrating. Carrying Sayuji Wazamono and the Black Sword Yoru, the hawk-eyed Mihawk calmly said, "Kaido's strength is superior to mine." No, Doflamingo chuckled. It seems we all underestimated Kaido's strength before. At the same time, Doflamingo was also saying this to himself, that it was fortunate he hadn't defended Kaido, otherwise he would have truly died without even knowing how. Queen, trembling with excitement, said, "Our Governor Kaido, is his strength really that great?" "Simply amazing." "That's right," Black Maria said proudly. Several Marine soldiers couldn't help but kneel down in fear, saying, "Can we really defeat Kaido?" "What nonsense! Of course we can." Others also thought that even if Kaido was powerful, they still had the three admirals, including Vice Admiral Garp and Commander-in-Chief Kong. Cyborg Kong reminded them, "Everyone here is a battle-hardened strong man. I don't need to say more. If you want to defeat Kaido, you don't need to fight him alone. Just surround him." Kizaru's expression changed to one of contempt as he shouted, "Kaido's attack is coming." Circling in the air, the Azure Dragon Kaido opened his mouth, and the heat rapidly increased. Heat breath. The dragon's mouth spewed heat breath, its attack range extending several kilometers, incredibly powerful, capable of instantly vaporizing an entire mountain.